called life. Good to be back in familiar digs. I did love the time down in Greensboro and being able to broadcast with you live. We didn't miss a beat, broadcasted with you all the way through from Greensboro from Tuesday to Saturday. Did our show yesterday to break down all 68 teams in the 2023 NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament. We're going to be talking with one of those head coaches of one of the teams inside of the field of 68 in just a moment as we start off the week with Matt Langel here of the Colgate Raiders men's basketball team. They have made it a normalcy in recent history of advancing to the tournament with their success inside of the Patriot League. From Hamilton, New York, Matt Langel will be joining us in just a moment. Then we'll jump into our conversation later on this hour around 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time with Jason Leone of the Oswego State Lakers men's basketball team as they advance to the Elite Eight after taking down reigning national champion Randolph-Macon on Randolph-Macon's floor in the NCAA Division III tournament. And then we'll have Tony Bruin join the show around 10:10 a.m. Eastern Time to speak on Jim Boeheim, Adrian Autry, and Cuse Then and Now. And we'll round out the show with Andrea Smith and our segment, Two Mics, No Filter, having some fun with you on this Monday morning. So a lot of great stuff coming up inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. It is my honor and my privilege, and I know that he might smile when I say this, but I mean it when I say it, or else I wouldn't say it. There is no better way to start the week than to be picture-in-picture with Matt Langel for all the success he has brought to upstate New York, to Colgate University, and to the Raiders. It is always an honor to talk with him. So I know that they go to coaches around the country and ask them how they're feeling about where they're seated. I get Matt Langel, and I'm proud of that. Matt, how are we doing today?
Thanks for having me, Dan. Doing great.
Absolutely. You know, you're always so mellow, Matt. Does your team get to see you get did you have a moment yesterday where you got a little bit amped up, or are you always kind of even keel?
Yeah, I try to be as even keel as I can. I think that's my personality. I think it's important when you're in a position of leadership to be yourself because you can't really fool young people, especially. And so that's kind of me, trying to be not too high, not too low. Focus on what's ahead. We certainly have had some celebratory moments, I can tell you that, over the course of this special season.
Yeah, you know, and in this season, a record of 26-8, you know, and teams like Colgate, leagues like the Patriot League don't get the respect that they deserve. What do you want people to know about the Patriot League this season? Because everybody talks about quad ones and quad two, and this team was ranked, and it seemed like the committee this year for the NCAA selection committee-wise, it seemed like they believed in something called a quality road loss. So when you see all these different things that go into it, what should people know about the Patriot League?
Yeah, I think for me, and I don't study all the metrics or the committee. I leave that up to the pundits like you to talk about those things. For me, the Patriot League is a little bit of a throwback. It's generally as college athletics has become a big business. The Patriot League's founded on a combination of athletics and academics, and so our institutions are really driven to develop student athletes, for them to be true students going to class the exact same way as every other student on their campus, which is what I'm really proud of that our guys have done, to be able to play basketball at the level they have and not compromise their academic experience in any way, shape, or form is a testament to who they are as individuals and the families they come from and what Colgate University and the Patriot League is all about.
Here with Matt Langel, the head coach of the Colgate Raiders, live to start the week on the heels of finding out where they're going to be inside of the NCAA tournament. Matt, we see that you're on the 15 line and playing second-seeded Texas. We'll talk about that game in a second. But to a point that I've had here, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, when you win your conference, if you're one of the 32 teams that wins your conference, you have an automatic bid, and then there's 36 at large. Do you believe that if you win your conference, you should be guaranteed a spot? Because there are those play-in games, and some teams that win their conference get put in a play-in game situation. Do you believe that if you make it to the tournament on an automatic bid, that you should be in the round of 64, or are you okay with the fact that some teams have to play in from there?
Yeah, I'm okay with the current format. I think I'm dating myself a little bit here, Dan, but back when I was a player, there were only 64 teams. And so, I try and look at it as the perspective of I'd rather be in the tournament and playing and have a chance. There's an argument that when you're one of those 11 seeds or 16 seeds in the play-in. Dayton's an incredible atmosphere. Great fan base.
Yeah.
People come out to those games, so it's an awesome experience. And then you're not playing a team that's that much different from yourself in those games, and it's a chance to win in the NCAA tournament, which I had a chance to do that one time as an assistant coach. I've been lucky enough to be a number of times as a player and as a coach, but to have a chance to win a game in the NCAA tournament, whether it's play-in or 64 or whatever it may be, is a pretty awesome experience. So I think the way it's set up right now is pretty neat. And history will tell you some of those play-in games, some of those teams have gone awfully far in the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah, no, it's been incredible, and I've been down to Dayton for the first four, and it's definitely been an experience. I was down there when Syracuse and St. Bonaventure from the state of New York were both there, so definitely an interesting, and it's a great atmosphere, like you said, and fans come out and they pack the place, and it's an incredible place to be. It's just, for some teams, I think if you win your conference tournament, you shouldn't have to play in, is kind of how I look at it. So you draw the second-seeded Texas Longhorns, and you have the opportunity in that 2-15 matchup. We know that that's not an impossible matchup, and no game is an impossible game, especially for Colgate in your tenure there. I know that you're very humble about it, but you guys have had wonderful success, and even in games in the NCAA tournament that ended in a loss, you have pushed teams all the way to the brink. Your inside-outside game has been incredible. I think it's gotten better, arguably. So I'd love to get your thoughts on drawing the Texas Longhorns out of the Big 12 and what your thoughts are on that 2-15.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally 2-15, it's a hard matchup. There are those 15s that find a way to win those games. That's certainly what we're trying to do. I think some of the experiences that we've had, we've got a number of guys on this team that do have the experience of playing a close game against Tennessee, a close game against Arkansas, a double-figure lead, and last year against Wisconsin. So that being said, Texas is different than all of those teams. Obviously, they're playing great, having just beat Kansas a couple times here late in the season and won the Big 12 tournament, arguably the toughest conference in the country. They have their own experienced guys, some veteran guys who have been around the block, played a lot of college basketball, even if it's not all been at Texas. Some guys with different experiences at other institutions have all found their way to Austin to be a part of this Longhorns group. They really get after it. They don't have just one player, although they have some really good players that are leading them in scoring. But they have great depth. They have great balance on their team. They can hurt you in a lot of ways, and they really get after you on the defensive end.
Yeah. So when you get a matchup like that, I mean, like you said, I know as a coach, you got to play the game that's in front of you. You got to coach the game that's in front of you. What do you think about that bracket? I mean, do you take a look? I know you look at the game that's coming up next, but do you kind of take a look at the Midwest bracket itself with Houston at the top? Do you kind of study any of that or take an appreciation for where you are, or is it just strictly Texas?
I think you take an appreciation for where you are being in the NCAA tournament, playing a game, and Des Moines, the crowd, the fan base there, I anticipate they love their basketball, that part of the country. I anticipate there being a great crowd and it being a great environment. I couldn't tell you who the other teams are in Des Moines, what the other games are. And obviously, you got to prepare, your staff has to prepare a little bit. For what could be a game on Saturday if you're fortunate enough to play your best and find a way to win. But yeah, I leave that up to my 13-year-old son to study the bracket and see what region we're in and where those things are. It's what makes it fun is the tournament and the whole magnitude of it and the spectacle and the pageantry. But for me as a coach, really just trying to learn as much as we can about Texas and trying to help our guys prepare and be at the best place to play a great game on Thursday night.
That coming here from Colgate Raiders men's basketball head coach Matt Langel on the heels of finding out where Colgate's going to be inside of the NCAA tournament as a 15 seed going up against 2-seeded Texas Longhorns in the Midwest region. Matt, For you, why? I mean, obviously the easy answer is you won enough games and you won your tournament. But why is Colgate where they are right now? Why did this year's team make it to a place where they're still dancing in the postseason?
Yeah, I think I got to start with our captain, with Tucker Richardson, our fifth year player, who was defensive player of the year, scholar athlete of the year. 5 short years ago, he was rookie of the year. He's accomplished, he's won 4 championships. This will be his fourth NCAA tournament. I mean, he's really a do everything player. Finished the his last game at Cotterell Court, with a triple double in the championship game. I just think speaks to his versatility. But as good of a basketball player he is, I think, why I start with him is it's never about him. He's really a team first guy. And whether it's setting up his teammate for a jump shot or celebrating his teammate. And I think that's carried on throughout our team. I think this is a close knit group that play for one another and with one another. And when we're playing our best, it's evident just watching us play how close they are and how well they get along.
And when you look at this team as a whole, I believe that you step into the NCAA tournament this year as the team that has the best percentage from 3-point. 40.7%, I believe, is the best in the nation of Division I men's basketball teams, and there's over 350 of them. We know that Colgate can hit the three, but to be the best in the nation as you step into the NCAA tournament, it's got to be pretty special.
Yeah, I think it's a result of the quality of our players. We have a bunch of guys who can shoot, so teams can't lock in on just one guy to try and take out the team's 3-point shooting. And then it also speaks to their unselfishness. I think that they found a way to move the ball, and the open guy gets a shot. And so when he's open, he's found a way to shoot it at a high clip, whoever that guy is. And so, really proud of how they play the game, how they share the basketball, and how committed they are to taking quality shots. I think that, if you shoot bad shots, you don't typically shoot a good percentage. So I think part of that speaks to their decision making and their awareness of what are quality 3-point shots.
What people don't know, if they haven't watched live the Colgate Raiders, is the fact that you are more than that, though, and that your inside play and your ability to work the ball around and really become an all-around offense with a lot of strengths. It's something that I've gotten to see a few times live this season in front of my face. I know you guys went down to Binghamton and got to watch that game, and obviously at the Dome. So when you're seeing this Colgate team, and a lot of people are keying in on that 3-point shooting, you have the big men. You've tried to stack up better, like you said, that close game against Wisconsin. And this team has elevated its play inside. So I'd love to get your thoughts as a head coach on how this offense has evolved over the last few years.
Yeah, I think again, it starts with the players and their versatility. I think that they've been really good decision makers. So instead of just being a 3-point shooting team, they really read the defense well and try and take what that opposition is giving us. And sometimes it's one-on-one play on the interior. Keegan Records is first team all league for a reason. He's become a force in our conference, shoots a really high percentage around the basket, as does Jeff Woodward, who spells him for about half the game. And then again, when the other team's not helping off of 3-point shooters, it creates driving lanes. Braden Smith, as a freshman, has really been good attacking the basket, finding passes, finding drop-offs for layups. And, he and Tucker have gotten to the basket extremely well to finish plays at the rim. So I think that balance certainly speaks to the efficiency of our offense and why we've had a really productive season on that end of the ball.
Yeah, as a team, you're shooting over 50% from the field as a whole and scoring almost 80 points per game. What is it about, like you said, I know you break it down the individuals to make up this team, but what is it about the consistency? Because I've gotten to watch Colgate over the years under your tutelage, Matt, and there's something to be said about the consistency of making shots, the consistency of being able to push teams, the consistency of making it to the NCAA tournament. It's one thing to have success every once in a while, which I think, anybody could fall upon that. But to have consistent success, to build a culture, is something different. Why is Colgate a culture of winning right now?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I'm glad you bring it up. I think it's been a lot of work by a lot of people over a long period of time. And so that's something that we talk about all the time is, this group takes a lot of pride in that they're not just playing for themselves. They play for those who have come before them, and certainly for the opportunity for those who are going to come after them. And so, when you do that, you can, while they'll be doing everything they can on Thursday to play their best game, that's only focused on one day. And so they're really focused on the big picture, and that's doing the work every day. And so this group, they're always in the gym, they're always studying film, they're always thinking about, what they need to do individually to help prepare themselves to be the best version of themselves for their teammates. And so that culture has now been in place for a while, and I'm really proud that new guys that come here, they're coming here in part for that, because they recognize that in the recruiting process. And then when they get here, they learn it from the veteran guys. I mean, Tucker Richardson, although he's been a huge part of all these runs, I think if you would ask him, he learned a lot when he got here early in his career, from some guys who came before him, and those guys learned from guys that came before them. So yeah, I feel really good that this culture has been in place for some time, and we work really hard to make sure we protect that and keep that and value that as much as anything else in our program.
Matt, you talked about the fact that this school values the student and student athlete, and that the Patriot League, that's something that is a part of the league itself. To be on the recruiting trail, though, and know that you have this student and student athlete, you're going to get a great education at Colgate, but at the same time, you're in a position where on the recruiting trail, when you speak to a prospective student athlete, they know that this is an NCAA tournament team. They know in 4 of the last 5 seasons, winning the Patriot League, you're going to advance and punch your ticket to the tournament. So when you're on the recruiting trail now, how have those conversations evolved into what they are today? And do you feel like it's become an easier sell for Colgate that with this continued success, that on top of the educational side of it, people want to come here because they know that there's a road to the NCAA tournament?
I don't know how prospects and their families and young people view it. I think that you said it is an easier sell. I think it's a different message that we're trying to deliver. For a long time, Colgate has a little bit of history and tradition. The last time before these last few years, it was a Donald Foyle making the NCAA tournament, and he was a lottery pick. And so for a long time, our message was we're looking for people to take us back to, we haven't been in some time. We need somebody to, step out and be confident that they can be the individual or be a part of the group that leads us back to that level of competition. Now that we've been there, we're looking for individuals who want to take pride in continuing that legacy, to being a part of that culture. And maybe taking it another step. I know, this group, they've openly talked about at the beginning of the year, they wanted to win a regular season championship, win a conference tournament championship, and do whatever they could to win in the NCAA tournament. And so, while some teams are setting out to be national champions, maybe that's been a big part of their goal, is this third step of, now that they're back here, finding a way to win on this stage. And so, it's just a different message in recruiting, I think, than the one you were delivering before. And you're trying to highlight where the program is and where the vision that it can get to.
Matt, before I let you go, we've seen in college basketball these last few years especially that anybody on any given day, not just in the NCAA tournament, but in conference play and in non-conference play as well, we've seen the ability of teams to find ways to win. Why is it becoming more balanced that there are so many? I mean, there's a bunch of teams that didn't make the tournament this year that arguably could have made the tournament based on the wins that they had, the teams that they beat. We look at Rutgers, we look at Clemson, we look at Vanderbilt. So it's not out of the realm of possibility in a 2-15 matchup. It's not out of the realm of possibility in a 5-12, which typically is a danger zone for the 5 seed more than the 12 seed. But in the regular season even, we're seeing teams do it. Is this a testament to a place like Colgate where you have players, you bring them in, you develop them, and they're not leaving? Is that what's changing college basketball, that some teams are retaining their players for long periods of time? How do you view it?
Yeah, I do think there's great parity in college basketball. I think there's a lot of different things that contribute to it. I think, coaching has continued to develop as the game has changed. The social media aspect and the digital networks, provide platforms for young people to be exposed to, a variety of different programs and, pursue different paths. And I think the landscape of college basketball in general, like Texas is an example of one of those teams. They've got a bunch of guys that started at different places and have ended up at Texas. So there's a lot of different circumstances that I think have that go into creating the parity of college basketball. And let's be honest, like, more people are watching it. It's not just on CBS anymore. You can watch games on your phone or on your tablet or on the move, and I think that's affecting the variety that you see across the game.
Matt, what do you want to say to Hamilton, New York? A small area when we look at population, but a big area when it comes to love for their team, and beyond that to the alumni. What should we know about the community of Hamilton and the people that support the Raiders? Because there is a special beauty to that, and I'd love for you to share that fan base.
Yeah, I think just what you said, it's really a cool thing. We're a village of 3,000 people, and we've got a campus of about 3,000 people. And so, our guys, just Selection Sunday, for an example, we're in a packed restaurant in Hamilton, and a number of people from the village, from the mayor to some Colgate affiliated folks to folks who just live and work and go to school in the area. And they're not just fans who are cheering for the team. They know the team. They get to know the personalities and the families of our student athletes. And so for me, it's really cool as the coach to have our alumni network across the country, to have such a small institution but a powerful institution. Been excited about their basketball program and what our young student athletes have been able to accomplish, and what they represent, and to be able to put the institution and the community on this stage is a pretty neat thing.
What's fun about this to you, this time of year, to be dancing? I know you said you're even keel. You kind of don't show that emotion as too high or too low, but what is fun about this? I mean, Colgate, listen, they're this year, and it's been great to see so many teams. Bryan and Stratton College's Syracuse and Syracuse, New York, they're heading to the national tournament for men's basketball. Oswego State just went to the Elite Eight and beat the reigning national championship team. There's a bunch of great things going on with high schools in the area and teams vying for state championships. And here's Colgate heading back to another NCAA tournament for Division I. There's a lot to be said about the excitement of March, and I know that you're mellow, but give me a little insight into Matt Langel and what goes through your mind and your heart, because this is special, Coach. You're one of 68 coaches of 350 plus that gets to continue to coach here in March.
Yeah, for me, Dan, there's two things. One, when you set out at the beginning of the year and you have your team in the summer and you're going through fall workouts and getting ready for November, and you're working on their goal setting individually and collectively, to get to this point now and see how they feel about achieving those goals is extremely, extremely rewarding for me. Like, I try to stand in the back so that I can see everybody's reaction when Colgate's name is called. When we win and our students, rush the court and are celebrating with our guys, I try and stand off to the side, because for me, that's the great reward, is watching the joy and raw emotion of everybody else. As a coach, selfishly, I love our team. I absolutely love every single second I get to spend with them. So to get to coach practice 98 and 99 and 100 and prepare for another game and go through that routine and be in the battle with this group, that's for me what makes it really special is, I want every last second that I can get with this group because they've taken us on such a special journey.
Yeah, we've gotten spoiled with you, Coach. I'm getting used to seeing the Colgate in the tournament. I'm getting used to having that consistency in the Patriot League, and I'm getting used to our conversation. So I am so very proud of you. You deserve the spotlight. You guys deserve the best, not just you, but Hamilton, New York as a whole, and the university as a whole. So thank you for letting me be a part of this. And like I said there wasn't a better coach to have on Monday morning after Selection Sunday to talk about where you're going to be, where you are, and the preparation for it. Texas is coming up, and the opportunity to make new history at Colgate is coming up as well. Coach, I hope to continue to talk with you through the process of this, but I thank you so much for letting me do this on a Monday morning. It's very important to me being from upstate New York, and it's close to my heart because you're a fantastic coach, and you deserve everything that's coming your way, you and your staff and all the student athletes, as well as the staff in the background.
Thanks so much, Dan. Thanks for having me.
And I'll talk with you soon.
Take care.
Take care. That coming from Matt Langel here once again on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, as Matt and I had the opportunity to speak here on the heels of the Colgate Raiders going to the NCAA Tournament one more time. 4 times in 5 years. 4 times in 5 years, folks. Think about that. Let that marinate for a second here. And so very excited. So looking forward to it. Matt Langel, a fantastic coach. We are spoiled to have him in our community. And just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for Colgate again to do what they've been doing in recent history here. So they had won the Patriot League a couple other times, made the NCAA tournament before Matt, and Matt has made it now 4 times of the 6 all-time trips to the NCAA tournament for Colgate. Matt has been coaching 4 of those, and they happen in the last 5 years. So 4 of 5 years going into the NCAA tournament. Not bad, huh? Pretty good odds, pretty amazing, pretty fantastic coach and staff. And like I said, in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, Jordan Doroshenko and everybody that's over there. I want to thank the people that don't always get the thank yous because they help to make possible these conversations and they help to do a lot of things that nobody ever gets to see. So I want to say thank you to them as being in broadcasting and journalism for almost 20 years now. You get to know the people behind the scenes, and you got to shout out the good ones and the ones that help to make things possible and greet you with a smile on their face and are kind people. So thank you for that. Big shout out to Matt Langel, his entire team, and everything that they're doing and the families of these teams. Shout out to Hamilton, New York. You're getting a shout out today. You deserve it. So big shout out to the village of Hamilton. Much love. And to all of those Colgate fans, those Raider fans that are so excited for this Midwest region opportunity to face off against number 2 seeded Texas, who won the Big 12 this year, defeating Kansas down the stretch. And that game is going to be huge. It's going to be played in Des Moines, Iowa, folks. So make sure you're ready for that. And that is going to be awesome. So I'm very, very excited for that. Thursday and Friday are my favorite times of the 2 of my favorite times of the year and my favorite time of the bracket because there's games from noon all the way to midnight. And that's why I love it. On Thursday, March 16th, we will see number 15 Colgate take on number 2 Texas at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS. Make sure you have them all, folks. You need CBS, True TV, TNT, TBS to watch all these games. So make sure that you get them. The tournament officially begins this Tuesday and Wednesday with the first 4 facing off against each other. All those games are on True TV. The first game of the tournament is the 16 seeds Southeast Missouri State and Texas A&M Corpus Christi taking on one another at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on True TV this Tuesday, March 14th, in the first 4 in Dayton, Ohio. And again, as we talked about with Matt Langel, Dayton is a fantastic place. I think they've turned the first 4 into a true event, and it's been wonderful down there. I got to experience it, and like I said, I was spoiled because I not only got to experience it, but I got to experience it with 2 teams from the state of New York in Syracuse and St. Bonaventure. So that was a lot of fun as well. And I'm just looking forward to the tournament. Really, really happy for Matt Langel and the Colgate Raiders, and so happy for Hamilton, New York. And a big shout out once again to the wonderful people that comprise the community, that are part of the alumni base, and that are currently going to the school right now, and to every player, past, present, and future, every coach as well in the history. Big shout out to Colgate, to the Raiders. Like I said, no better way to start off this week on the heels of the selection process than to talk to Colgate and get to celebrate the Raiders and head coach Matt Langel. So I love it so very much, and I appreciate them so very much. Kevin said, listening to your show this morning, CNY has a lot to offer when it comes to basketball. Was just thinking it would be cool if you could get, he wants all the coaches together after season, learn how they impact the CNY region. So, that would be fun, and that would be interesting to do something like that. Definitely appreciate that. And we get to talk to Matt Langel. We get to talk to Jason Leone, obviously Adrian Autry, Jim Boeheim, historically. We talked to Jerry McNamara on the show, talked to Alan Griffin. And I've also had the opportunity to connect with, obviously, Binghamton, with St. Bonaventure, with Cortland, with Cornell. So, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, there's nobody left behind. And it's important to me. Obviously, Lemoyne and all the work that we do with Lemoyne, Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse as well. So it's an honor and a privilege to get to do what I do. And I don't take it lightly that there are coaches that deserve the spotlight, have earned the spotlight, and should have the spotlight. So a lot of great stuff coming up, including Jason Leone, who's one of those great coaches. He said a wonderful thing here. I'm going to read his letter before we get him on the show. He wrote this publicly. Dear friends of Oswego State men's basketball, I wanted to say thank you to all who followed our historic 2022-23 season. It was nothing short of magical. This season was without question the hardest of my career after losing my dad unexpectedly on September 28th. My players gave me a reason to smile every single day when it was hard to smile. That alone made this team unforgettable. To my assistants, Ryan Rowland, Jake Pritchard, Bill Farden, Roxana Burrows-Farden, I thank you and I love you. What a team we are. You made every day special, and your sacrifice does not go unnoticed. To my wife, Amber, I love you. What you do to let me do what I do is incredible. You are the toughest and most driven person I've ever met. Being a coach's wife is the hardest job there is. Thank you. Looking forward to our family returning to some form of normalcy starting today. Lastly, to Oswego State administrators, alums, and our fans, the hardest part of this is how abrupt it ends. What we have built here in 11 years is so wonderful to share with all of you. Thank you for your unconditional support and for embracing me as your coach. It truly is a privilege. 11 years, 236 wins, 55 the last 2 seasons. 4 Sweet 16s, 1 Elite 8. Lakers fans, be proud because you have all been a part of this amazing run that we all should wrap our arms around and hold close to our hearts. Be loud, be proud, go Lakers. #believe. All my best, Coach Leone. So, and I just got chills reading that, and I literally stopped myself from crying a couple times. So we're going to talk with Jason Leone right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We thank you for being here and celebrating your week with us.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It is my honor, it is my privilege to be here with you and be able to celebrate the stories of fantastic people all around the country. And I get to have this wonderful, wonderful opportunity all the time to talk with people from Central and Upstate New York. It is my home. It is where I was born. It's where I built my company. It's where I continue to grow and evolve and hopefully get better with every passing day. And when we talk about growing and evolving, it is so easy to talk about Jason Leone, this human being, this friend of mine, this person that, when somebody says, I love you, or they say, I love you, brother, it means something to you. When it comes from somebody like Jason Leone, it goes beyond. He gives credit to everybody else. He talks highly about so many people, but we speak highly about him. And for whatever he says about me, take that, multiply it by 1 million. That's Jason Leone, probably 2 million. So he's not just a good coach. He's not just a good friend. He is somebody who we are spoiled to have in this community. I'm prefacing having him on the show with this conversation here this morning because he deserves it. He spends so much time building other people up, and he has helped me in more ways than I can ever thank him for at times where it was too hard to even speak in certain situations. So, yes, he's a great coach. Yes, he's done amazing things when it comes to basketball, but he is truly so much better of a person. I love the family, love the Leones. They have treated me great at any time, wherever, whenever. Amber is wonderful. And before the break, I just read the note that he had to his wife, to his team, to the community. And like I told him off the air, I had to stop myself from crying a couple times. So with that being said, the coach that led the Oswego State Lakers men's basketball team to the nation's Elite Eight, the final 8 of over 400 schools of 40-plus conferences, is here with me this morning. My good friend, my brother, my family, Jason Leone of the Lakers. Sir, how are you this morning?
Tired. Well, you can bet this. I'm going to relax this week. So as long as I can, I'll work a little bit. But I'm actually really looking forward to this week. Dan, if we have a second, one of my first bosses, Tobin Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can follow this guy, okay, was a Division III coach. Yeah, well, first of all, I got his start as an assistant at Clarkson University, just like one of the first jobs I had. Then was an assistant for Dave Paulson, who was the head coach at Bucknell and, Lemoyne, Williams College, whatever. So he worked for him at Lemoyne and then got his chance as a Division III head coach at Clarkson, then Hamilton College. Then he went to be an assistant at Siena. The staff got let go there, and he landed at this small Division II college down in Sparkill, New York, in Rockland County, called St. Thomas Aquinas, and built that thing into a national power, won over 80% of his games, and finally got his shot at FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University, and the NEC. Fairleigh Dickinson last year was 4 wins and I think 23 losses. And Tobin just completed a season in which they qualified for the NCAA Tournament in year 1, and they have 19 wins. And they're playing in the first 4 at Dayton on Wednesday. I am flying out to go see him and his team play, which I haven't had a chance to do yet this year. So I'll be down there for the first 4 on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I come back, and Amber and I are going to have, my wife and I are going to have a weekend together with no kids. And I'm very much looking forward to catching up with her and spending some time with her. And what are we doing, Dan? Guess what we're doing together?
Please tell me you're going to Disney.
No, we're going to watch more basketball in Albany. We'll be at the games in Albany. So what does a college basketball coach do with his wife on his weekend off? They go watch more basketball. So no, we're going to enjoy a nice few days in a hotel and, quite frankly, just rest a lot. I'm exhausted. She's exhausted, basically being a single parent here for the last couple months, and so I'm looking forward to this week.
Yeah, and I was talking to my dad about this. When we look at the regions and whatnot, Albany pulled some amazing games. For people that don't know, I want to break this out to you here. Albany has Miami up against Drake. It has Indiana up against Kent State. Those are coming out of Albany. We have St. Mary's and VCU, and UConn up against Iona, which, to those of you playing the home game, that is where Coach Rick Pitino is now. So Albany's got some really awesome games, and so here's me, and it's funny that
I haven't even looked at the bracket yet. That's awesome. Those are going to be good games.
Yeah, I love how you're like, we're going to go watch basketball, don't even know what games are out there. Just going to go do it, gonna celebrate it, but...
I just got out of the submarine, Dan, so forgive me.
No, I love it, but I was talking to my dad, and yesterday, when the bracket was coming out, and we had dinner, because I literally just flew home from Greensboro yesterday. And as soon as I flew home, I decided to do a show on the 68 teams. And I ended up doing a 3-hour plus show that went from Sunday night to this morning here on Monday, because I just felt the need to do another one and break down every team. And then I looked at Albany, and I said to my father, I was like, I think we should go to Albany, Dad. I said, there's 8 teams there. I said, UConn's playing better. Iona's got Rick Pitino, who could be taking a job somewhere else. I like VCU. I definitely, I respect St. Mary's, what they've done. Miami's in one of the conferences I cover, and then you see Kent State and Drake, who I haven't seen before, an opportunity to see Indiana again, because I watched them with Tom Crean. So with all due respect, I think that Albany is going to be a big thing, and you and Amber might be seeing me and Pop, because I'm trying to pull my dad to Albany.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be great. So, and the cool thing about the games is you got the day in between. So we're going to stay for both of us. The day in between, it'll be great, because we're going to meet up with some friends, and I want to say St. Patrick's Day is Saturday. I don't even know the calendar. I think it is Friday or Saturday. So we'll have that going on, and I'm sure Amber will find her way to some spa at some point. And
Yeah.
I got to start getting into my normal workout regimen. So we're going to get back on the treadmill this week and get healthy.
Jason Leone here with me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and the coach of the Oswego State Lakers men's basketball team, in the greatest moment of their history just happening here, an advancement to the Elite Eight. And by getting to the Elite Eight, getting there by defeating the reigning national champion, number 1 seed, Randolph-Macon, at Randolph-Macon's home floor. Jason, bring me into this. You are humble. You like I said, give credit to everybody else, but you just coached and advanced the team to what I consider the greatest moment in the history of Oswego State Lakers men's basketball, and I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, of course, it was incredibly memorable. And what made it memorable was, the moments that I had with my team, on a personal level. I had made mention in my letter to our followers, you know, I really don't. I'm kind of private with this, but I will share this only because this is more geared towards our players. You know, losing my dad this year unexpectedly 2 weeks before our season started, it was just, you know, I'm not an overly spiritual guy. You know, I wish I was more, I was better with getting to church and things like that, but I do go, just probably not as often as I should. Anyways, it was the challenging part of this was getting going here at the beginning of the season. And my players, you know, they kept me going, and they gave me a reason to smile every day when it was hard to smile, you know, and that was probably as much of anything that we did this year. You know, it's just the moments we spent together. And getting to your question, where we ended up playing the number one team in the country on their home court on Friday. Clearly a situation, and you know, people were not trying to be disrespectful to our program, but you know, you really get the feeling leading up to the game, unintentionally talking to people, and then, you know, just insinuating our season was going to be over after the game. And yeah. I'm not a big bulletin board material guy. I'm really not into karma or superstition or, you know, oh, they said this, so this, you know, we're going to use this as a motivating tool. You know, I think that's, I don't know, it's just not my style. But, you know, it's hard to not notice that people had us written off. And, you know, I watched all the film, you know, and Randolph-Macon very well could have won the whole thing. They were that good. But, you know, after watching them, I thought it was a pretty good matchup for us. I'm not saying I thought we were going to win, but I thought if we could handle playing in front of what I thought was as good a home court advantage as I've seen at our level, and we were fortunate that we got off to a good start and played from ahead. I don't think they took us lightly, but I thought we caught them, you know, in a position where I don't think they were quite ready for our quickness, and we did some things with our game plan that I thought helped us. And you know, playing from ahead is a pretty significant thing the whole game. So credit our players; they were locked in, man. I saw a look in their eyes where I was like, okay, I think we got a shot here, you know. And after the game started, you watch the first 5 minutes, and I really thought it was an even matchup, you know, and we just had to play better. So that's not to discredit Randolph-Macon. They have a great coach, great program. They're champions. The loss the other night doesn't change that. But you know, it goes to show you at this time of year, it's always goes back to playing well, Dan. You got to play well. And the next night, we played a team that was unranked, although very, very good, that was playing a bunch of freshmen and sophomores this year. And they were a team that really, really improved. And, you know, we go and play them, and probably on everybody's radar was the game, oh, well, they beat Randolph-Macon. They probably should have won that game. And they played well, and we did not. And you have to play well every single night in that tournament, especially the deeper you go. So that was kind of a synopsis of the weekend.
Yeah, and we talk about here with Jason Leone, Oswego State Lakers men's basketball head coach. You know, when we look at tournament time and people are used to, you know, Division I and watching that and saying, okay, you play Thursday. If you win Thursday, you play Saturday. Then you get a little break, and then you play again. And then, you know, the longer you go, the longer break you get. That's not the case in Division III. It's the farther you go, you don't necessarily get much of a break at all. You're playing your back-to-backs in the round of 64, round of 32. That's 2 nights in a row or 2 days in a row. And then, you know, in the case of the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, right after you beat the number one team in the nation, number one seed, reigning national champion Randolph-Macon, it's like, okay, guys, now you got to turn around and play the next day and be ready for it. So in the Division III world of it, Jason, I think it's important for people to know that there's not much of a break from 64 to 32, and then from Sweet 16 to Elite 8, where we see in Division I, there's this little lull period and this time for a team to even gather themselves. And from 64 to 32, there's even a day in between. You don't have that. You literally win that game, and emotions, preparation, everything, you got to be ready to go right after. I mean, if they think Division I is difficult, Division III, arguably even more difficult in preparation, in sleeping, in getting your emotions in check, in celebrating a win but not letting it last to the point where you're not focused on the next game. You have a quicker turnaround in D3 than even D1 has, and I think that people should know that.
Yeah, it's certainly part of the game. So after the first weekend's done, where we hosted, we were fortunate that we had a good enough season where we hosted. Okay, now it's a Sunday, okay, and I don't have a full-time assistant, so I've got guys that work full-time for part-time pay, but my athletic director, our associate athletic director, and myself, the three of us are setting up travel plans, okay, and that, for anybody that has to do that in any occupation, that in and of itself is a pretty big deal. We got a travel party of over 20 people, and we're figuring out buses, vans, flights, where we're going to eat, where we're going to stay, practice times, shoot around times, and we're doing that. So like at the Division I level, they have people that take care of that for the coaches. So we're doing that, and then you have to sit down and watch film, okay, and get the team prepared and have practice. And that was that's a challenge, managing all that. And then when you play on Friday, if you're fortunate enough to win, your game gets over at 9, and if you have enough full-time staff, usually what happens is one assistant gets assigned one team in the other bracket, the other one gets assigned the other team, and they start watching film. But as a head coach, I'm somebody that likes to watch a lot of film. So, I didn't start watching film on Whitewater until, 11 o'clock on Friday night, so I'm up till 4. And they were a really tough prep. Their coach has won 2 national championships. They've been there before. He knows how to coach in the tournament. And the way that they play was an incredibly challenging prep for us. And the reason that was so is some of the things that they do really well on offense were places that we could be exposed defensively. And they, in one day, in less than 24 hours of prep, to their credit, really did a good job in a very simplistic way of exposing us in a couple areas. And we didn't play well. We didn't play well enough, and that was Whitewater's to their credit. And, it was a difficult situation. We had a point guard. I'm going to talk about this injury, but, I'm not going to say that this is why we lost. I felt bad for him because he was probably the reason we won on Friday. He tweaked his groin in the last 5 minutes of the game Friday and just was not himself Saturday. I think he was 1 for 11, and nobody's good enough to withstand, that lack of production at that time of year in that game. He's crying after the game, and I say this to protect him and to, you get text after the game, well, he didn't have his normal game, and I believe there was a reason for that, and so it was tough that to your point, the prep and getting ready without the support staff and the time that you have at Division I, it's certainly a pretty big deal. But everybody has to do it, so you can't make excuses. Every team that's in the tournament is in the same boat as we are. So, I think it's one of those things in coaching at this level where the more times you do it, it's kind of like chopping wood, and you got to be there most of the time, a bunch of times before you have breakthroughs. For us, we've been in the Sweet 16 4 times to break through to that Elite 8, and obviously this core group of guys is all going to be back next year except for one player, and we're going to have a very old team next year, so it'll be hard to get back, but we got one more run with this particular nucleus of guys, and we'll start thinking about that in another week, what we got to do to get back next year.
So you led me right into the question. You keep coming back to Oswego State. Not that there aren't suitors out there that see the success you're having. Why continue to build this thing at Oswego?
Well, we talked about this before, I've had opportunities to move, but, I keep coming back to the fact that, I live here. Find great value in my family and the life that we've built. I've got 2 young girls that are doing well in school and in their sports that they enjoy doing. And, it's everybody has different things that they want to achieve within their profession. And those things don't always involve level and money, I don't think the way that I view things is right or wrong more than somebody that, wants to move up in level, and that type of thing. So we're very fortunate that we've carved out a nice space for ourselves here in Syracuse, New York, my wife and I. And obviously I make mention we've gone through some family adversity this year, and and I like being at Oswego. I've had a really, really fortunate experience working with and for some great people that have supported us, my family and I, and and my players. We've worked really hard to have an environment that's built on, a family atmosphere. It's built on loyalty. And it's built on, just being kind of where your feet are, and I preach that to our players all the time. And, success is not always about level, it's about, finding something that's provides comfort for you and an opportunity for success. And success is not always level, it can be, but it's not for everybody, So, look, I tell my players and my bosses all the same thing. You never say never, but it's about being really happy and thankful, and I'm happy and I'm thankful to be at Oswego State.
Yeah, coming from Jason Leone, Oswego State Lakers men's basketball head coach. Coach, with Jim Boeheim retiring after 47 years, you are now one of the longest tenured coaches in the state of New York. So, you got 12 years at Oswego. Are there 35 more to come? What now that you're one of the longest tenured? And you may very well be in the area the longest tenured when it comes to men's basketball. So it's pretty interesting now with Jim Boeheim hanging it up. Now we look to the longevity of Jason Leone.
Well, one of my closest friends, Tom Spanbauer at Cortland, he's been there, I think, 30 years. So we don't want to forget about him, and there's probably other examples. But no, I will not be coaching. And listen, Coach Boeheim has been really, really good to me. And I will say this: I was out in Virginia getting ready for our game when the news broke, and it was emotional for me. All I ever wanted to do was play and coach basketball. I grew up, in the 80s when I was old enough to start going to games. My dad would drop me and my buddies off at the Dome and give us, $15 at that point. We could get a ticket, sit all the way up in the nosebleeds and get something to eat. And Derek Coleman and, Stevie Thompson and Sherman Douglas, Pro Washington. I mean, I grew up watching those teams and watching Coach build something special. And it's just, he's not for everybody, his personality, but he gave that school and our city a hometown discount for all those years. And, there's sometimes an unreasonable nature about the fan base when it comes to coaches in general. He's what he makes, is not even close to what people that are at his level of success make at that level. Yeah. And we're just really lucky. And listen, again, he's not for everybody, but I just have really respected what he's done for our community. Forget the basketball program at the college, although that's part of it. It snows all the time here. There's not a lot to do in the winter, especially if you're not a skier. And he gave entertainment value to our city for a long, long, long time. And nobody can question his loyalty to Syracuse and to the university and to that program. And I just wanted to say that about him. And he's been really good to me over the years. He follows basketball at every level. He's a really intelligent man. And he's followed our team. And in his busy schedule and with all of his fame, I've always appreciated that. So I just wanted to say that about him, going off topic a little bit here. But I will not be coaching that long. So I love what I do. I give Coach Ban credit for his longevity. But the second I'm financially stable to retire, I will be doing so. Coaching is an unhealthy profession, mentally and physically. Doesn't mean you can't take care of yourself, but it's not getting easier. It's taxing. Relating to kids and to parents has changed, and I'm still what I perceive to be a young guy, but I am in the second half of my career now, and that stuff's not getting easier. And I can see why people are retiring younger and younger from the profession. But I do love it, but I'm not going to be doing it at that point in my life. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tom Spanbauer, who's been on the show before, 28 years at SUNY Cortland, which is very special. So, joking, but also when I asked you if you were going to be there as long as Boeheim, obviously being facetious, but at the same time, we're very spoiled to have the coaches we have in New York State. One of them was just on the show, and Matt Langel at Colgate. So, there's some amazing coaches, you being one of them, Jason. You wrote a letter. What I love is win or lose, you write these letters, and you write them publicly. And people talk about coach speak and coaches, just kind of being bland about stuff. Not only are you not giving us coach speak, quote unquote, of the base, we tried really hard, we didn't win, oh well. Or we won, it was great, we're focused on the next team. You write these heartfelt letters, these beautiful letters, and you put them out there. Why has it been so important to you to share a more sentimental and a more vulnerable side of you as a coach, which we don't typically see from coaches? Why do that?
I think self-disclosure is important, especially nowadays, and self-awareness. I'm not a funny guy. People might laugh at me, but I'm not somebody that's going to be overly quick-witted. So I've always learned if you're in any occupation where you have any sort of public persona, I think it's important to be who you are, and whether that's the way I was brought up or the Italian in me, stereotypically, I don't know. I probably have a little bit more of an emotional side to me, but I think people are going to take the time to follow our team. And, this weekend, Tully's was showing our games live in the restaurant, Drummond's Country Club, where I belong and play golf. People getting together, watching our games. I think the least I can do is let people in a little bit to our program. And if you want there to be a sense of community with what you're doing, I think opening your doors is a critical aspect of that, if that's the result you want. And that's what I want. I want people to feel like, okay, we're not Syracuse University, we're not even Colgate, but here's something where, some people, especially older people, they value watching teams where players are there for 4 years. That's not what's going on at the Division I level anymore, So I think we provide a product that still maintains continuity within the program and a way of doing things. And we've had people come up and watch us over the last 3 weeks here in postseason, Dan, that have said to me, they just really have enjoyed watching that level of basketball. Yeah. And another great thing about it was how surprised they are at how high a level and how the level of play is. So that makes me feel real good. And I think as a product of that, what I want to do is let people in and thank them. It's authentic, it's sincere. I can't reach out and return everybody's texts and phone calls. I had 276 when I got out of the game Friday, and you don't have time to return everything. So this is one of the nice things about social media, is that this gives me an opportunity to communicate with a lot of people quickly.
And It's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And I think it's funny because I believe that the exact number that I have on my phone right now of text messages that is 276. And so I find that to be very, because you send out messages and then you get replies and you like send out, checking in with people, seeing how they're doing. So I can appreciate that very much so. Jason Leone, want to make note here for Oswego State, a winning record across the board. Conference 17-1, at home 12-1, on the road 14-1, neutral floor 2-1, 28-3 on the season. And when Jason tells you at the top of this conversation that they didn't play their best game, they only lost by one possession, 77-74. So after defeating the number one seed, number one team in the nation, reigning national champion Randolph-Macon against University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, they lost by 3. Okay, folks, so this is, a team that was very, very, very close to getting to the Final Four in the history of Oswego State for the first time ever. So, Jason, you and I got a lot more conversations to have, a lot more bread to break together. Thank you for building a home in general in Central New York. And, thanks for how you treated me, because
there's not a lot of places you can get a great dish of pasta, right? So we got to enjoy those when we...
In general, to all of your student athletes and the families that support you all, thank you for giving us something incredible to watch, to reflect upon, and to build on for the future. You are one of the...
I want to make sure everybody, leaves this season and lets it go with a smile on their face, because I am. It was unforgettable, and that's how I'll leave it.
Yeah, unforgettable season, incredible, and now for the 11th hour, the encore. Jason and his wife will be watching basketball coming up very soon. So thanks, Jason, for that. And
people could pull that off. I think that's better than leading that team to 28 wins.
And a big shout out to Amber, and a big shout out to the girls and to you and to the family. So send you my love to you and to everybody, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks, my friend.
All right, take care. That coming from Jason Leone one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Tony Bruin coming up next, right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we shift gears to his take on Jim Boeheim, Adrian Autry, and Cuse Then and Now. A lot of basketball coming to you this morning with a lot of purpose right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. And here at Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, as well as on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse in their drive-through location, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. Proud to be here with you inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We had Matt Langel of the Colgate Raiders following them punching their ticket once again for the fourth time in 5 years to the NCAA Tournament as Patriot League Tournament champions. And Jason Leone making history with his Oswego State Lakers in the NCAA Division III National Tournament for men's basketball as they advanced to their first ever Elite Eight, and did that by defeating the number one seed Randolph-Macon, number one ranked team in the nation on their floor at Randolph-Macon College, and the reigning national champions defeating them. So big time, big, wonderful history for Oswego, who continues to push the bar and make new history all the time. And it's now time to speak on a part of our history for the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team as we welcome Tony Bruin into the show. Tony Bruin, a Syracuse Orange basketball alum, to speak on Boeheim, Autry, and Cuse Then and Now. Let's bring him into the broadcast. Tony, how we doing?
I'm doing good, Dan. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Tony, and I know that, and I got to see this, and you and I were talking off the air about this, and I'm sad that we didn't get to cross our paths here when you were in town recently, because I know you got to be around a bunch of the guys and reflect with some of the former players and part of that Syracuse brotherhood. You came in for the Wake Forest game and got to see the celebration of 20 years ago, Syracuse winning the national championship in 2003. You got to see Boeheim's last game coached in the Dome. Would love to get your thoughts on that experience, and if you had any feeling that was the last game for Jim.
Yeah, even before the game, the night before that Friday night when we had the celebration, I know Boeheim's ways pretty good, and I could see that he was really emotional, even when we greeted each other. We have a pretty good relationship, but he's never hugged me that long. So I kind of got the feeling actually I thought he was going to make a speech that night, and he didn't. But I think even a lot of the players could feel that Boeheim was this was probably going to be the last time that we saw him coach at the Dome.
And so for you, Tony, like you said, you know, you have a good relationship with Jim. How would you describe that relationship that you have with Jim Boeheim as one of his former players? And, you know, what relationship did you have when you were on the team, and how has that relationship evolved over time?
Yeah, well, I think with Coach Boeheim, it was kind of a trust in me and I'll trust in you type of thing. Syracuse was a nice program at the time that I was being recruited, but I was being recruited by a lot of bigger schools than Syracuse. But nobody really, in my opinion, worked harder or made me believe that they wanted me to come to the school as bad as Coach Boeheim did. I mean, everywhere I turned, he was there, Dan. I mean, we would have practice at Monte Cristi. He'd be at our practices. I'd have tournaments, uptown in New York City and Harlem, at the Harlem Ruck again, you name it. Queensbridge projects, Coach Boeheim was right there in the middle of everything. Every game that I played, whether it was one of my best games or one of my worst games, Coach was really there, and that made me really feel, after him seeing me play some stinkers and some good games, that he was there just as hard the next game, pursuing me, that he really, that he really understood my game and wanted me to come to Syracuse. And I believed in him. I thought that he was a down-to-earth type of guy. My family had a good feel for him. He didn't come in and give you the aurora of like a slick salesman or anything. He kept his promise to my family that no matter what, whether I came in with the ability to go pro and leave early, that college would always be an option for me, that he'd make sure I graduate, or if I had to stay 4 years, he was going to make sure I left with my degree. And, everything that he promised me and my family came into fruition. He said I would enjoy myself and my time at Syracuse, which I did wildly. And it was a great experience for me. And we really never had any type of negativity. Even though my freshman year, I felt I should have been playing more, mixed with some injuries and stuff. But it never got to the point where me and Coach got negative with each other. It was just things that I knew that I had to work on and get better at. He made me understand that. And, to this day, I can pick up the phone and get advice from him. I can call him and tell him about plays that I've seen, that I played against while, coaching high school basketball or AAU that I thought he might be interested in, or I can call him. I can't say enough good things about him. It worked out well for me. And I'm sad to see him leave, although, I think it's time. 47 years is a long time for anybody. I can't think of any other program that has as many players as we do that can come together like we did this past weekend and all have what you call let's call it the Boeheim experience. We've all had the same coach. We've all got the same funny stories and crazy things to talk about and things we can laugh about. And, I don't care what program you mentioned, Duke, Indiana, any of the Blue Bloods. I don't think there's any program that has that many players that can go back and say that we've all had the same coach,
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I appreciate you sharing that. Tony Bruin here, Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum, this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. That core, that connection, right? How many schools can say that in 5 decades they had the same coach? Nobody could say that. They can't say that about John Wooden. They can't say it about Coach K. They can't say it about Roy Williams. They can't say it about Dean Smith. They can't say it about Jay Wright and Rick Pitino and so on and so forth. It's never been done before, Tony. It'll never happen again, because there's no way that some school is going to give 47 years in Division I men's basketball to a coach. And so when you know that your coach has bonded you all in this brotherhood in such a unique and amazing way, what do you want to say to Coach in response to everything that he's given to the game?
I don't think that right now it's probably not hitting him to think about as many lives of young men that he's changed, that he's affected, that he's helped, that he's given opportunities to, how many people owe what they have today because of him. I think later on, as he starts to enjoy retirement, and starts thinking about these things, and as players start giving him calls and talking to him and things, and he looks back and reflects, that I think he'll understand just how many lives he's touched through basketball, but for outside of things, basketball-wise, I mean, when I finished playing basketball and was trying to find myself, one of the reasons that I wanted to coach was thinking about Coach Boeheim, like what affected me. And it was him, the talks that we've had off the court and stuff like that. So he was one of the reasons that I wanted to become a coach and try to give back to young men on some of the experiences that I had, both good and bad, And so he's touched a lot. Like you said, I don't think there's any program where one singular coach has touched as many people, and he's touched a lot of lives,
Yeah, he did. He's left a legacy that is so unique and of his own. I mean, Jim Boeheim, truly, there's only one, and there's not even anybody that you can compare to him. And when it comes to looking at the level of success he's had and doing it all in one place. We did have a note that came in I wanted to share from Neil, who's watching right now, I believe in Central California. He said Coach Boeheim and Tony and his teammates literally carried Syracuse into the Dome and ESPN era. Us Syracuse grads and fans so appreciate these folks. So I wanted to share that with you today.
Oh, wow. That really touches me and makes me feel good, and not forgotten. It was, I can remember there was a lot of apprehension at that time because although I don't have my best memories and experiences in Manley Fieldhouse, the playing time was not what I was hoping for, and my best memories of the Dome, but I know how dear Manley was to a lot of people, and a lot of people, I heard the whispers and stuff, how, what are we going to do with a half-empty dome? And there's no way we're going to fill that dome up, and it's just not, we're never going to have the same feel that
Recording in progress.
Manley. We're never going to have the home
Recording
stopped
stopped.
like they did at Manley, and I think the brand of basketball that we brought with the players that he had, with like Leo Rollins throwing me alley-oops from half court. We had an exciting player like Eric Sandifer and 7-footers like Danny Shays, and it was different. And when we started the Big East and playing schools like Georgetown and UConn, I remember it seemed like there was a period there where each game, the next game, we kept breaking our own record for the highest, most crowd on an on-campus arena. And we kept breaking our own record. And that made me feel good to know that, that all the doubt and apprehension that people had, that our style of play put all of that to rest,
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, Tony, being a part of this history and being a part of, everything that was built at Syracuse, it has to take a place in your heart and be special. I mean, you were highly recruited. You chose to come to Syracuse. You talked about Jim just staying on you and really wanting you to come here. He was a young coach at the time, came in to the program as the head coach in 76, but played for the program and was an assistant under Roy Danforth. You came in 79 to 83 and played with this team. So going back to Jim Boeheim as a younger coach, what can you tell us about the why? Why did you believe his message? Why did you believe his vision? Why, when he was really young in the world of being a head coach, did you think, hey, this guy's the guy I want to play for?
Well, if anybody that knows Coach now, and you see the energy that he brings, into his 70s, can you imagine the type of energy he was bringing at the age he was at when he was recruiting me then? I mean, he just outworked everybody. I mean, it was like some points where I'd get out of class and I'd be with some of my friends and I'd see him and Brendan Malone in the gym, and I'd sneak out the back door. I'm like, I'm so tired of seeing this guy. It's amazing. It's amazing, and he like the energy, and the energy that he brought was just unbelievable.
That coming here from Tony Bruin. Tony, before I let you go, your nickname Red, Adrian Autry's nickname Red. So you got two Reds in Orange history. and Adrian Red Autry is now the head coach of the team. What makes you believe that the team's in good hands with Adrian?
I mean, I go way back with Red, pretty good friends. And even though that I'm sad for Coach Boeheim, I'm glad that it's still in the Orange family, and I think they couldn't have picked a better person to do the continuation with. He's just a great guy, and he knows, he knows what the Orange basketball is all about. He knows what Orange basketball is all about. I'm almost done. He knows what Syracuse basketball is all about, and I think he'll continue the tradition very well.
That coming from Tony Bruin. Tony, we look forward to talking with you soon. I know you got to get hopping here and you're running around today, so we appreciate you spending a couple minutes with us on the broadcast, and we definitely look forward to having you back, and I thank you for everything you did in Syracuse history.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you guys having me on this morning.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. That coming from Tony Bruin here, where sports meets that thing called life. We're going to take a quick step aside, and definitely appreciate having Tony here because I know he was running today. So always means a lot when we have these moments to celebrate history, and definitely appreciate them. With that being said, we're going to take a quick step aside, and when we come back, I'm going to be joined by my co-host, the other half of Two Mics No Filter, Andrea Smith, joining me here today, and we're going to have some fun. We got some things coming up in the not too distant future, and right now we're going to continue to make you laugh as the morning show within a morning show that I don't think you should live without. That's just my opinion, but we'll talk about a lot of great things with Andrea coming up after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Please stay with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was, selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake of Call with Dan Tortora. Coming on to the screen with me momentarily, we have my co-host for Two Mics, No Filter, and that being Andrea Smith. And I love when we get to have these conversations off the air that nobody gets to see, because it's just very funny, and sometimes most of the time we're right on point with each other, and then other times I get an LOL, like I just received from Andrea. So with that being said, happy to have you here on the broadcast. Two Mics, No Filter is going to round out this Monday edition, and happy to have my co-host back with me for the morning show within the morning show, the his and hers of life. Andrea, how we doing?
I'm good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy, I can't call it a mellow Monday, but I just spent the entire week in Greensboro. I got to drive a red Mustang, which now I realized I want to do every day. And especially in Greensboro, because there's a bunch of straightaways, right? There's like open areas on the highway. But yeah, just got back from Greensboro. And when I should be sleeping and, getting off that flight and resting up for the week, I decided to do a 3+ hour breakdown of the bracket for all 68 teams. So I did it from 9 something yesterday to past midnight this morning. And, I did that for you, Andrea, so that you can have information on how to fill out your bracket.
Thank you. Because I'm shooting from the hip on it. My work asked me to join a bracket. I'm like, you don't want me to join your bracket because I don't know anything. I pick based off instinct, which is not educated at all. But who are you picking to take it all?
Who am I picking to take it? So
who's number one?
Okay. So I'm revealing my bracket on Wednesday. So I can't say I can't say much. I can say going into it that I really hope that Houston makes a deep run. And
they're currently number one, right?
They're one of the 4 number 1 seeds. They're considered the second number 1 seed of the tournament. So out of 68 teams, they were ranked 2 by the NCAA selection committee.
Okay, so we were watching ESPN last night, and it was just on in the background, and I picked Texas over Houston, and my husband was like, "They're number 1. There's not a chance." I'm like, "That's why I'm picking them because they're not expected to win." I've seen enough upsets in sports, you know what I mean, that I find that every time I do a bracket at work, for every year that I do the bracket at work, I always pick, based off of who's supposed to win. And I feel like it never goes that way.
Yeah.
So I might be better off shooting for the underdogs.
Yeah, well, and in that case, you should probably shoot for Colgate to bring this show full circle. I had Matt Langel on the show today, and if you're picking Texas, that means you pick them to beat Colgate. And Colgate is, that was the team that we just celebrated here this morning. So maybe you need to change your bracket. Maybe you need to get really bold and pick Colgate.
Well, here's the problem, and I'm going to be honest when I say this, and this is going to offend some people. I honestly thought you were talking about a toothpaste commercial just now.
We're gonna just break away from that.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
I live in Florida. I don't know a lot about a lot.
Andrea's feed has been dropped. It's so weird that it's a black screen now. But
sorry.
No, it's okay. So we're going to do some fun things during the tournament where you and I are going to have a bracket, and we're going to have some fun with it. With my deep dive into the NCAA tournament's field of 68 that kept me up until the wee hours of the morning. I've now put us in a situation today for Two Mics No Filter where we typically talk about anything. We shoot from the hip whenever we have each other on here. So I want to talk about relationships in the sense that I've been dating, and I know that you're excited about this because
I am.
because I've been dating, and I know you wanted me to share more last show, and I did not. So I want to tread this lightly because I don't think they watch the show, but they may watch the show. But I'm going to give you the players. So I'm gonna give you like the I guess my tournament field in the sense
I'm ready.
Of this is where I'm
ready.
So
yeah.
There's one girl that I've talked to in my dating recently, and she's fun, and it seems like she opens up the more I get to know her, but she does two things that throw me off. And so
I'm nervous for you to say what it is out loud because I'm thinking, what if she does listen? But keep going.
Okay, so yeah, I just glutton for punishment. So one of the things that she does is she'll, when you're talking to somebody, I always feel like, yeah, you can kind of like let them know that you're listening. So if you're on the phone, they can't see you nod. So you could say, yeah, okay, or like, I understand.
Right.
And you say that every once in a while because you don't want to like throw them off from their thought. She does a thing that when I talk, she goes, uh-huh, all right, uh-huh, what, uh-huh, yeah, right, okay, uh-huh, all right, uh-huh, oh yeah. And it's like consistent, so that kind of throws me off. The other thing she does is she laughs uncontrollably in the middle of a conversation after saying something that's not funny. And just like
what if it's nerves?
It could be nerves, and that's why I'm saying that I'm trying to like, understand it because we've talked a lot and yeah. So, I mean...
Have you been on a physical date with this person?
We have not because she is... See, this is where I don't want to give away. She's out of town, but coming back into town. And so we haven't... We've talked while she's been out of town. That's when we started talking. She's in a transitionary thing. So we... Because she's changing jobs. And so we talked only on the phone. And... it just kind of throws me off to have this like, interaction where she'll talk about something that has no, like she'll say, oh, I watched this TV show, and she'll just start laughing. And yeah, it kind of throws me off a little bit. Or she'll be like, today I saw a bird outside, and she'll start laughing. And so, yeah. So
maybe you guys should try FaceTiming.
That's what I want to do. That's what I would like to do because I want to see this.
Yeah. I feel like you can get a lot when you see someone's face.
I agree. So there's that one. Then there's the situation of this person that I get along with. I enjoy. I think I mentioned it before in the show. Get along with, enjoy their company, but we're in two different places. They've had kids in another relationship they don't want anymore. That I want to be a dad. So there's like this giant thing in the background, yet there's this, really cool connection in the foreground. So that's been a tough one to kind of figure out because we kind of just click, but, we have differences in where our future is heading.
New relationship. So I think it's very common for a woman to say that she doesn't want more kids if she has them. But if the relationship were to continue on and you really fall in love with somebody, whatever, I also think it's common for a woman to change her mind on that and say, okay, I'll have one more because I want to have one with you. So I don't think it's a deal breaker, but I will say this. If she's hell-bent that this is the way she wants to be, you might as well forget the connection and just be friends because it's not what you want long-term and nothing you can do is going to change that if she's hell-bent on it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing as like with a male or a female. When somebody this is who they are, you can't change people and what they want. So you may be barking up the wrong tree. But I do think in a new relationship, like it would be easy for me, if I was dating, it would be easy for me to say, I don't want any more kids. But I never had my tubes tied or anything like that. So it's not like it's a no. It's just at this point in my life, if I was not married, like I don't think I would want more kids.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot of work.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I see it from the viewpoint, and I want to respect women because it's their body, not mine.
For sure.
When I look at relationships and you're coming into a relationship as a man or a woman with kids, and you're saying to this person like that doesn't have kids, be it a man or a woman on the other end of the relationship, you're saying to them, hey, if we get together, these are kind of your kids now too. And so in that sense of it, if I'm open-minded to somebody's kids that are not my children, then I would like them to be open-minded to having one with me. I think it's only fair to go into a relationship and say, if I'm the one with kids and I want you to be open, then I would like you to be open to the fact that maybe I want one of my own. And I think that's fair because, it's happened to people that I loved before. They were in a relationship and they dated somebody, they got married, then the person was like, nah, I don't want to stay married. And like overnight just changes and says, I'm taking my daughter, see you later. And so they not only lost their wife, they lost their kid. And
Right.
and so to me, if you're the person so this is why I say it to people that are like, if it's a woman from my standpoint saying, I don't want to have any more kids, I can respect it and understand it. It's your body. I
Right.
look at it from my perspective as a man, though, if women will allow me to have this conversation, and you can obviously chime in from the standpoint of, being a woman who has, kids of your own. I look at it and say, I'm taking a huge risk because if we don't work out, I'm 37 years old. If we don't work out, and I understand that I can have kids at any age, whatever. And people say that all the time, like, you're a man. But do I want to have kids when I'm, 45 years old? You know what I mean? So it's when I look at being 37, coming into a relationship with someone who has kids, I'm looking at it from the perspective of if we don't work out, you're not taking one person out of my life. You're taking two. You're taking three. And that is, I think that's something that I would love to get your perspective on as a woman, because as a man, if I don't have kids of my own with this person, then I can stand to lose everything basically overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've known men who told stories about, things like this where they were maybe in a second marriage and it didn't work out, and hear that they had like raised this woman's children. The child was maybe 2 or 3 when they came into the picture, and that they really helped raise this child. And now that they're not together or they're on bad terms, they've lost this father-son relationship that he had with the other one. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's heartbreaking. It's like, let me just say this before I say what I'm about to say. I know it's not the same thing. Okay. What I'm about to say, I know it's not the same thing. However, when you're in a relationship and you get a dog and you love this dog and the girl loves this dog,
Yeah.
and one ends up with the dog, and at first you're thinking you're going to have visitation rights with the dog, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't last long, but that's what you're thinking is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's somewhat similar. I mean, it's like a piece of you is gone now because your love for this animal or this child or whatever has been ripped away. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I would say that I'll go back to what I said before, that this is so new that this could change, this whole not wanting kid things. And I'm not saying it's going to change, because she could be very, very, she could have her tubes tied. She could be very set on this. No more kids. But like I said, if it were me, like right now, I don't want more kids. But if it were me and I was single and I, fell in love with somebody and, I was in my second marriage or whatever, like even though I'm 40 and I'm really getting to an age where it's starting to be like, your advanced maternal age, things like that they say when you're having kids, I would have to at least consider it if we wanted to have a child together.
Yeah. I mean, and so, I mean, yeah. So, I mean,
I think you might be wasting your time also.
I do agree. And so then that leads me to the third topic of, the third dating.
The third girl?
Yes, the situation.
Okay, wait a second. Back up before we get to the third girl. Last week we talked. I think it was like Friday or the week before that we talked, and you said that you had been on a date with a girl that you kind of liked.
Yeah.
So what happened with that girl?
That was discussed in one of these two that we talked about already. So, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, being in the situation of you really get along, but
number 2
in two different places.
Door number 2. It was door number 2. Okay, let's talk about door number 3.
I like how you picked up on it quickly. You're very perceptive.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
yeah. So
considering that door number 1 you haven't been on a date with, it was very.
Listen,
it was cut and dry.
I'm trying to give you credit for being, a master investigator. Let me give you the credit where I want to. So so door number 3 is an interesting door. And it's an interesting door because we dated in college. I was a junior. She was a freshman.
I love this.
Okay.
I love this already, by the way. I'm excited about it. Keep going. Keep going.
She was a junior. I was a junior. She was a freshman. So we started dating. I don't even know how we met, but we just kind of clicked and we dated, but she had just gotten to college. And so we were fine dating as long as there was no title put on it. And the moment I said, I want to be your boyfriend, she got weird. And it was kind of like, hey, I just got to college. And listen, hindsight 2020, when I was a junior in college, I wanted to date her because I had, thought about what I wanted. She was just getting to college. Why would she want to date somebody for the rest of her life? So I get that and I understand that. In the time, I didn't understand it, but I understand it now. So all these years pass and we've kept in touch. I got divorced. I reached out to her, I don't know, a year or two later, and we talked for a while and we had great connection and I really enjoyed it. We talked a couple times and we didn't discuss whether or not she was dating anybody. And then, it kind of toward the end, it was like, oh, are you seeing somebody? And she was like, yeah. And I'm sitting here going, why are we on the phone for all these hours connecting if there's somebody else there? I always find that weird with a man or a woman, like talking to someone for an hour plus in a kind of like flirtatious way and then being, oh yeah, I'm dating someone. So she dated somebody for like 7 or 8 years. We talked a little bit ago. So so the timeline is I got divorced in, I don't know, she left in I don't even remember anymore. She left in 2018 and then we talked, so then I talked to this girl a little bit after that and then we talked again. And when we talked again, she was still seeing the guy, but it didn't feel like it was like the same. They didn't live together. They'd been together for a long time. There was like this detachment. And I said, okay, well, she's still dating somebody. So I'm not going to, I kind of check in on her every year or so because she's never left my brain from 2006. So I reached out to her recently and we were talking and she's like, I don't remember the last time we talked, but I'm single now. I'm not seeing that guy. I saw another guy after, not seeing him anymore. So now I'm single, living in a new apartment. She's not too far away. And we really do click still. So, but she's so hard to read. It's like without directly asking her thoughts, she's hard to read, but she remembers everything. I mean, we were on the phone, and I don't even know if we talked within the past year or two, and we were on the phone talking to each other, and she was talking about my parents, stuff that I did, like, and all. I mean, she remembered things that I told her years and years ago, and I mean, she knows what my parents do for a living and all that. So she's kind of she's kept something on her mind about me, but I can't read her. However, I will tell you this: I have not. She's been in somewhere in my mind since 2006, because when we first dated, I never stopped thinking about what if this could work out someday when she's ready for it to work out someday. So that's me kind of lining up the plate for you.
Have you mentioned seeing her or getting together?
So we were supposed to talk again over the weekend. We did not. We texted a little bit, but I didn't know when was the right time to do it, because we kind of like talked. She said she was single. I told her I was single. I mean, we're friends on Facebook, so I'm sure that, she could see that I am, because mine is on my profile. But
right.
But yeah, I haven't come out and literally said it, because I don't know. This is where you wonder about the rules of women, right? She's newly single. She's been through relationships. She's doing this year of her. So do you turn around and give it a few weeks of talking on the phone and then say, hey, I'll come out and see you if you'd like me to, or
what does come out and see you mean? Like, how far are we talking?
It's
like a weekend trip?
It's the same state. It's just a little bit of a ride for me. That's all.
So it's not like you could say, hey, let's meet for coffee, because she's not in your town.
No, it's not like I can say, hey, you're 20 minutes away.
Right, you have to plan for it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I I believe in this kind of stuff. I really do. Like, I always think that, like, there's the right time, right place, or right people, wrong time, those types of things.
Yeah.
I think that happens to a lot of people, and I think more people than would like to admit it are in situations like this where somebody from their past is, super important to them still for whatever reason, and if they were to speak, it would be like nothing ever changed. Like, pick right back up to where it was. I think too, though, you can get very caught up in that as wanting it to be like a fairy tale or fate. You know what I mean? And that's not to say it's not. I mean, I've known people to get divorced and reconnect. Like, literally, I know somebody who got divorced, reconnected many, many years later with some guy she had dated early on in life, like at a funeral in the town. They happened to both be at the same funeral, saw each other, and now have been married ever since.
Yeah.
And they were apart like 20 or 30 years in between. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't think it's that uncommon that happens. I think that too, when you already have a connection to somebody, it just takes away that awkward stage of like figuring it out, which I think when people get to a certain stage in their life and they just want to be happy, especially people coming out of second marriages or coming out of first marriages, divorced. And like, I always say, like, or I read something once that said, your second marriage is when everybody gets it right, because they know now what they're looking for and what they're not looking for. And I think if it were a situation like this to work out, it's like, okay, well, I thought this person was great back then. We were just too young. It couldn't have worked out then. And look at us now. We had to go through all these things in our life to come back together.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think that you can kind of also get really hung up on that and be almost a little too hopeful, because it does feel very Lifetime movie, very fairy tale-ish, very Disney.
Well, I can tell you that I don't feel that way. I'm not chasing the fairy tale. I'm not chasing I want to feel the way I felt when I was a junior in college. I mean, I can honestly tell you that's not it in this situation.
But you are intrigued because you couldn't get her off your mind. So you're thinking right now, here's what you're thinking, I think. You tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. This is what I think you're thinking. There's got to be a reason I could never get her off my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so fate. I believe in fate, so I'm not against it. I do believe in this kind of stuff. I don't believe that there's one person for everybody out there. I just think that's a ridiculous statement. There's probably 10 people out there for you, to be honest with you. It's just finding them. But I do believe in fate. I do believe your paths align with people and things like that happen.
So
I guess that's the question. What are you going to do?
Well, yeah. Well, and this is the thing is I can't tell if she is interested in anything like that. That's one thing that I
Why don't you ask her?
I could, but that's the side of it too. Is it's like I have no problem asking her, but do I want to do it? We just started talking again. Do I want to be like, hey, we just started talking again? Where's your head at? I mean, I'm not the type of I used to rush things in the past. I don't jump the gun anymore. And I'm not chasing.
No, but I think that you could easily say, listen,
yeah,
I'm so glad we reconnected.
Yeah.
I would love to see you. No pressure or anything like that, but I would love us to get together. And you don't have to say, I want to see if we still are compatible, or where's your head at? Like, you don't have to even go that deep with it.
Yeah.
But I will say, let me ask you a question. You said she's doing this whole year of you or year of her thing. When she told you that, was it almost like standoffish, like, I'm not dating anybody, I'm doing this year of me, blah, blah, or was it more like, yeah, I really need to, reconnect with me and kind of figure out what I want out of life? Like, was it more conversational, or was it almost like she was putting a hard stop to set the tone?
No, it seemed like almost like she didn't necessarily buy into it. It was kind of like, I went through a relationship, this happened, and now I guess I'm just doing this thing, I guess. It wasn't like and she didn't have to tell me she was single. She worked that into the conversation somewhere.
Well, maybe she wants you to ask her to hang out or see you.
I mean,
what do you have to lose? This is my thought.
No, I have nothing to lose. I'm just the type of person where I rushed everything in the past. And I rushed with her when we were in college together. I was like, oh, you just got here 5 minutes ago, but I know what I want. So I wasn't thinking about what she wanted. And so for me, I would think, now this is me thinking, and I know people are crazy in today's world, and probably always, but now you see it because it's on social media. But people are nuts, okay? And I would think that if I was in her shoes, and it's like, okay, the guy I used to date in college, every year or two, calls me up, talks to me, catches up with me, checks in on me, and always asks me if I'm seeing anybody. I would think that now that's happened a third time, then maybe in her brain she's thinking, okay, like, he's not calling me just to say what's up for no reason, but she could also be thinking...
One would think.
What'd you say?
One would think.
One would think. This is why I said the world is crazy. Because because if I had a girl call me up that I used to date that was like, hey, what are you up to? This, that, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, I'm married. And she's like, all right. And then I don't hear from her for a while. And then a couple years later, something, whatever, I hear from her again. And she's like, oh, how you been? And I'm like, oh, I'm good. Da, da, da. We talk for an hour or two. We have a great time. We laugh. And then she's like, oh, so like, what's going on? Are you still with the same person? And I'm like, yeah. And then a couple years after that, she calls again. And I'm like, nah, I'm single. I would think that this woman is calling for a purpose and a reason, because there's really, between me and this door number 3, there's no reason for us to talk to each other other than the fact that we used to date and that one of us, if not both of us, could still be interested. So listen, this is not a poop or get off the pot type of thing. Like, I'm not afraid to ask the question. I've waited long enough to say to her, now that you're single, I've waited long enough to hear her say she's single for me to say, hey, it would be great to catch up with you. I've waited such a long time for this moment that I want to handle the moment correctly. And listen, she could say no and whatever, and that's totally fine. I'm not.
Well, if she says no, though, then that's kind of the answer. You know what I mean? That she's not interested.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, I don't know who I was talking to about this. Was I talking to you about this? When they said that men and women can't be friends or something, and I disagree.
We were talking about it.
Okay. I do disagree, because I don't think that's the case. I do think that you can love somebody in your past. Mm-hmm. And at one point before you started dating, you had a friendship with them, right? So you can actually love who they are as a people. Now, your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever may argue that you shouldn't be friends with somebody that you used to date. And that's understandable, because a lot of people feelings do kind of come and go, things like that. But I do think it's possible. I mean, there have been people in my past, and granted, I don't think any of them were serious relationships, and maybe that's why it's different. Like, none of them were serious. Yeah. But, I'm friends with people. I have people, that I stay in contact with to an extent, that I'm super happy for them. Whenever I see, on their Facebook or social media, how great things are going, like, I will absolutely comment and be happy for them and all the great things. But I do think everybody also has somebody from their past where they think, and maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of people have somebody from their past where they always wonder what would have happened had the timing been right or whatever with that person.
Right.
Now, maybe that's the ex that you can't keep in touch with, but
yeah, I mean, I'll put it to you like this, okay? If door number 3 and I had dated and stayed together, that would have been like, if okay, my ex-wife would have never been an option to me if this had worked out with this person. So this is not like a person where I'm like sloppy seconds or, like whatever's left. I'm the type of person of saying, like, if we dated back then, I would have really enjoyed it. She has good manners. She's sweet. She's funny. She's funny when she doesn't know that she's funny, which is funny. And she's just a different type of human being and not the one that you would meet every day. She's very kind and she's beautiful, but not the type of person that like tells you how beautiful they are. So, and she's very honest. She's very, very honest, kind of like to a point where she lets you inside of her brain with maybe not even thinking about it sometimes. So I can respect all of that. And listen, if it doesn't work, it's fine. I mean, I've gone 17 years we haven't dated in between this time. But it's one of those things where if I got the chance to actually date her as an adult, both of us as adults.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
You can't compare relationships in your early, 19, 20, 21, 22, whatever. You cannot compare relationships back then to what they would be like now as an adult. And that's something I say that too all the time, because I agree. It's like, I think I know where you're going with this. It's like, if you had the chance now to date her as an adult, you wouldn't let her go. Right. And I do think that every man, if they did not marry that person in their life, every man has somebody in their past that they feel like could have been the one, right? And in your case, it wasn't you to make that decision, but most of my guy friends that have somebody like this or whatever, it's them. They were too young, too dumb, cheated, made mistakes, wasn't ready to settle down, whatever. But they say, same thing you're saying, had I had the chance now to pursue that relationship, I wouldn't have been married this, or I wouldn't have been divorced, or I wouldn't be in this predicament, or whatever. I also think it's easy to look back on things and remember only the good times.
Right. And listen, her and I, if I described us in college, we barely got on the plane. It didn't shut the door and we didn't take off on the runway. It was a very initial thing, but she's the type of person that just I don't know. She's stuck in for whatever reason, she's stuck in my head. But I can tell you this isn't one of those like, oh, it's in my head, I can't get it out, I can't do. It's not that at all. It's this, hey, she's a sweet person. I've seen a lot of things in life. Put it to you like this. There's a ton of women that I've met that if they said, hey, will you come out and see me? I would probably not. But if she said to me today, hey, would you come out and see me? I'd be like, yeah, let me check the flights this afternoon. That's the difference. And for whatever reason...
Well, you already have a connection.
Yeah. I mean...
Which makes it better. I mean, who wants to date and, go spend a weekend with, somebody you barely know?
Right. And the thing is...
I tell you this, I don't envy you to be in the dating world. I really don't, because it would be very... Yeah, I mean, I don't. It would be difficult.
Yeah.
And I hear horror stories a lot from you. But... my other friends too, it's like nothing's great about it, but there's something very comfortable about already having some sort of connection with somebody. It's almost like feels like homey a little bit, and you want to pursue that and see, because that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
They want to settle down with somebody that they can feel like is like a home to them.
Well, and my thing is, I'm the type of person, and I don't know where her head's at, but I'm the type
you
of
kind of just ask.
I can. So, and it's not that I'm not going to, it's that, did
Right.
I want to ask, do I want to talk to her for a little bit and see if we actually enjoy talking to each other and then ask her?
Right.
Or do I want to just throw
Right.
it out there? I mean, I follow my gut on those situations. But I would say, life is not easy when it comes to dating, and it's not fun. And did I think I'd be 37 years old and doing it? No. Did I think I'd be 37 and not have kids? No. But am I happy?
You're still very young, though. I just want to say that.
What?
You're still very young, so I just want to say that.
No, I appreciate that, and I thank you for that, and I feel young at heart all the time. But my thing is, I'm happy and grateful I didn't have kids with anybody in my past. I'm happy and I'm grateful that I'm the man I am today who takes better care of myself, because I was always the person to take care of everybody else. And not that I don't, but I now take care of myself. So a woman that would get me today is not getting a man who will take care of them. They're getting a man who will take care of them that also takes care of themselves. And if you got me in the past, you were getting a man that was very mean to himself, but tried to be very good to you. And so, I would think that whoever is going to be that one is going to get a man who, knows how to love himself. And that's been a long journey, and I appreciate that. So, and it is. I mean, it's difficult and it's hard. I mean, in the situation with door number 2, it's hard for me because I know we're never going to work out. But like, kind of in her words and my words, it's like you finally met this person that you connect with, and you met this person that really is a good person, and you enjoy your time with that person, and you feel that this person's gone through pain. They've gone through hell. You've gone through pain. You've gone through hell. They came out of it positively, not negatively. So did you. So it's kind of like you cross paths with somebody and you say to yourself, darn it, like this could be a really cool rock in my life. So, that was really hard. And, and in the case of door number 3, I mean, I've been waiting for how many years for her to say I'm single. And when she said it, I was driving and I went, oh, thank God. And so, I mean,
you said that out loud?
No.
Wow. I wish you'd have said it out loud.
No, I didn't say it out loud. But
oh, happier.
But no, I mean, like, to me, it was like, oh, thank God, finally. And the funniest thing is, I said something to my parents like, oh, I talked to such and such. We, reconnected. It was nice. And I talked to my parents separately. My mom got really excited. My dad was like, bring me back to college and remind me who this was. And then I told him and he remembered. And then he went, really? And I was like, yeah. So it's like, it's funny because my parents have different reactions to different things. And they both were like, oh, that's cool. Like, this is, see where that goes, because that could be pretty cool. And my parents are very, very honest people. They'll tell you, my dad looked me dead in the eye yesterday of a situation. He was like, run. So,
wow.
but in the situation with this, it's like, I've always been interested and I haven't always known where her head's at. And not that I won't ask that. Like I said, I'm not afraid to ask the question. It's just one of those things where I'm not looking for a Lifetime movie. I'm not looking for a fairy tale. I'm not looking for, oh my gosh, look, we knew each other in college and that. I'm not looking for any of that. I'm honestly saying to myself,
it always makes for a good story, though.
It does. But the only reason why I reached out to her is because I told myself a long time ago, if I ever had the chance to date her and she was fully committed and open to it, I would love to see where it went. And that's the only reason why I've, tried to reconnect as often as I have.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What's the timeline as far as when you would feel comfortable asking some more questions? Like, let me ask you, you were supposed to talk this weekend. You texted a bit, you didn't, you were busy, obviously brackets, you're traveling or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, maybe can we set a plan that, all right, I'm going to call her later, or I'm going to text her later, and then I'm going to do this again Tuesday or Wednesday. And then by Friday, I'm going to have said, like, hey, I would love to see you. Like, can we set a plan in motion? Because I know what you're saying here with like, oh, if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out, or I'm not, it'll be okay, blah, blah, blah. But your mind has always been on this girl. So she is single now, and you really have nothing to lose either way. Yeah. But I think you'll just be saving yourself time and an investment of your own heart by just getting it out there and saying like, figure out where her head's at. There's nothing worse than not knowing. And so you build up, and you have all this anxiety around it. Then you finally ask the question. And if it doesn't go your way, it's crushing, right? But if it does, it's like, well, why didn't I just ask sooner?
Yeah, and I'm in full agreement with, like, you and I, all the advice you've given today, well taken. And I've been with you the whole way. And I'm with you now. I'm right there alongside you. I don't disagree with anything you said. I am not shuffling my feet by any stretch of the imagination. It's more of like wanting to have one more conversation where I feel some type of opening to say, hey, you know what? Just putting it out there. You know, I'd love to come take you out. You know, can we do that? And so, I mean, it's not that I'm not going to do that, but I would like there to be another interaction where I can actually get a sense of things. Because
okay, let me ask you another question then. Is where she lives, is there any business you do in that market, or vice versa? There's any business she does in your market?
There is business I do in that market. I could have actually have been there this past week.
When could you be there next?
Well, I have my little brother lives there, so
family trip.
So
Honestly, when's your little brother's birthday?
Oh man, that's not till November.
Is this the little brother? Is he the one that wanted to know about dating the girl, the famous girl?
No. That's my big bro. So
okay. So here's what I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think you need to make it formal at all. Like, I'd love to take you out. That's very formal.
Right.
I think you could say, this is why I say this, like, I'm in town this week, I'm reporting on this game, or I'm in town interviewing this coach, or I'm in town seeing my brother, it's his dog's birthday, we're having a party, like, whatever. Like, you have this reason to be there already, right? You have to go.
Yeah.
So then it's a quick, simple, like, oh my gosh, I happen to be in town. Let's meet for coffee. Yeah. See, there's no pressure in that.
Well, and the thing that was interesting was that when she was dating somebody a couple of years ago, she didn't let on that at all in the entire conversation until I
think she's interested. I think she's interested.
Because I deliberately asked, because she had even said, like, oh, like, you know, if you ever come down, you know, we can, I think she had said we can meet up. And I was like, and then she said, and then I was like, oh, are you dating somebody? She was like, yeah. And I'm like, then why would you want to meet up with me? This doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I think she probably is somewhat interested too, at least somewhat. And I think that at least at that point she was, if she would like to see you. She clearly was not super happy in her relationship.
No.
She wanted to maybe feel attention, feel happy, whatever. No. So I think now that, and I could be wrong, I could be setting you up for failure, but my gut is that you just ask her if she wants to meet up. Because I think there's been plenty of guys that I dated. I remember a long time ago, and I think we talked about this one time, but I remember it was like the guy just was dragging his feet on like something. And I finally was like, dude, are we going to date or not? Like, what is happening here?
See, but but you're the
there
type
are
of
other
person.
people around I could go out with, but I'm talking to you. So do you want to date or not?
But see, that's the thing. Okay, Andrea, I need somebody that has the get up and go like you do. I need a woman to say to me, where are you at, Dan? Because I told my mom.
Dan, I'm a rare breed. I don't know what to tell you.
I know you are. I know you're a rare breed. But this is the thing. I speak for a living. I broadcast for a living. It is my job to get people to listen and to bring them into a room, get them to feel safe and comfortable, and get them to trust me. Okay?
Right.
It is my job to do this every single day, and I believe I do it well by the grace of God and the gifts that He's given me. With that being said, because this is my life all the time, the woman that's going to knock me off my feet is the woman that doesn't have to overly say, oh my God, I want to date you. I'm not saying that. But a woman that gives me some type of inkling of me not having to host the show, so to speak.
Right. You know what? I relate to this, even though I don't host a show or anything like that. But I relate to this. I feel like my whole life is a show. Like, I feel like, everything I ever have to do is I have to take the lead.
Yeah.
Ever since I was in school, I have to be the leader. I have to be the one that makes the plans and organizes and does everything for everybody. And, same thing with the fitness. Like, I'm always leading the class. I'm the one who has to show up and be on no matter what. And it's like, it would be nice for someone to show me that, so that I don't have to do that. So I relate to that, and I can understand what you're saying here. Like, it's like you need somebody who is so confident in themselves that they're willing to just speak up and say, hey, let's just do this thing. Like, what's the deal? And I can understand that, because it is hard to find a woman like that. I think that going back to her, what she was saying about how, I guess I'm just doing this thing of me finding me or whatever. That's somebody to me who's saying, like, I'm sick of dating guys that, like, it just doesn't work out. Yeah. So I guess I need to figure out what I really want, or what's wrong with me to make these things happen, or whatever. Sounds like she's in a place like she's been hurt. She's maybe hurt somebody. She's got these things. Nothing ever made sense or was right. And it's like she needs to figure out who she is and what she wants. But at the same time, everybody typically wants the same thing. They want to find somebody, again, that feels like home, that feels good to them, that, loves them for who they are. They can be themselves around. So maybe she's not that person, considering what you're looking for. Now that I know that you want somebody who's an aggressor, we got to find an aggressor. If you're listening to the show and you're an aggressor, or an aggressor,
that sounds so scary.
That person, okay? And I'm going to start doing interviews. When we get an aggressor and we want to know if she's going to be the girl for the show, please reach out to me separately so that we can interview you first, because I need to know what you're looking for so that I can have an educated conversation about this.
Let me tell you something about this. That sounds like some gorilla's going to come pick me up and shake me. That's what I feel. When you No, I know what you mean. Now, I totally get what you mean. Now, going back
you need someone who's not afraid to take the lead.
No, but and this is the thing, I don't need anything crazy, ladies. I need nothing crazy. I actually need no more crazy.
We're all crazy
in my life. Don't say that to me, because it's
we're all crazy. It's different levels of crazy.
I know, but you're going to see the hair start to look at it's standing. It's standing on my
arm. I think you have some crazy tendencies too. So I think it's an even crazy.
You think I have crazy tendencies? Crazy. Okay. All right. I think I'm a pretty mellow guy, but
the problem is you're taking the word crazy that I'm saying and you're taking offensively. When I'm saying we're all equal crazy.
I'm saying to you that my definition of crazy from the Arkham Asylum that I've dated is different than other people's. Like, do I think everybody can get a little crazy? Yeah. But I've met people.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I've met people in straitjackets that the Joker would have been terrified of. That's what
saying. No, for sure. Yeah. You have, which is why I've asked you before, like, are you attracted to crazy people? Because these are over the top crazy.
No. I was attracted to people physically. And then when they showed me they're crazy, I said, "Oh, I can change that." That was my mistake.
Me too. I mean, I also was attracted to, like, cheaters.
Yeah. So I mean, I was attracted to people that, and it's funny now, because it's funny when you date someone and you think like, oh, nobody looks like them and this and that, and then after you date them, you see all these people that look like them, like resemble them in their face. There's the last girl that I dated, the wall staring girl. When I see people that look like her, I get disgusted. Now when I see them, I'm like, oh my God, I could have ended up with that. Like, I mean, that's just because it reminds me, and it's no offense to these people, but it reminds me of the memory of her. And it's like, what were you, like, I'll literally see somebody that looks like her. First thought on my mind was, what were you doing? Did you fall asleep? Were you in a coma? Did you not decide that none of this made any sense? So, I mean, I don't miss the stuff that I left behind at all. In the case of door number 3, we didn't really leave anything behind because we really didn't take off. And to me...
So, like, how long did you guys... You said you wanted to be the boyfriend. This is... And also, you said something earlier that I kind of chuckled internally about. You said that you were, thinking about what you wanted, not thinking about what she wanted. It's like she's 18, 19, 20 years old at best. She doesn't know what she wants, so that doesn't count.
I know.
But
I know. I'm just saying that I was thinking because I was thinking in my perspective, and I wasn't.
You wanted to date her. Yeah. She didn't want to date.
Right, and I wasn't thinking from her perspective, okay? Because me as an 18-year-old was, I want to find my wife and settle down. That was me at 18. That was me at 5. I wanted to find my person and not have to go through all this craziness. I was Boy Meets World Dan, okay? I was Corey Matthews Dan. That's who I was. Find the right girl.
Find the Topanga.
Find my Topanga, who I met, by the way, really cool. And she's awesome, Danielle Fischel. So... But yeah, so I mean, to me, at 18, freshman in college, 17, because I was younger, different world to me. Because if I had met the right person, I would have been like, lock it up, we're good to go. Like, I'm fine with this. I don't need to date 100 women and have all these crazy stories just to say I did it. So in her case, it was like, I just got to college. I want to get out there. I don't know what I want. I want to do things. To me, I didn't want to understand that at the time, because it was combating me. But as a 37-year-old man looking back at her coming into college, 2 weeks into college, her and I are dating each other. I totally understand now that it was crazy to think that that was just going to work out. To some people it does, but to a lot of people they want to have whatever they consider the college experience, and I understand that.
Right.
But I was a different 18-year-old, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny to hear you talk about this, because I think back to, so many of us as, women, you're taught that you just want to be somebody to choose you, right? You grow up with that theory of somebody to choose you. And I think back to like every girl I know would have loved to have a young guy that was so sure of them at such a young age, didn't want to go out and party and like live this crazy life. Like, it's just, you should honestly be really happy though that things didn't work out for you, because, I listen, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I think you being able to chase your career and all these things, maybe it would not have worked out, because I do believe when people get married really young, and again, no disrespect, because everybody should do whatever they want to do for them, period.
Yeah.
But I think the statement, till death do us part, is a very strange statement, because if you got married at 20 years old, are you the same person at 30 that you were at 20?
I am the same bones of the person. I mean, I consider myself to be a unique person in the sense of, I had somebody tell me if they met you at 3, 10, teenager, college, businessman, you're the same guy to all of us, and it's a really hard thing to do. And so I appreciate that compliment.
But it's not just that.
I'm better to myself now. I'm better to myself now. But am I the same Dan? Yeah, in a lot in the fiber of my
has your mindset evolved? Has what you're looking for in people evolved? Has your goals for yourself evolved?
When it comes to women, I've always kept the same mindset of what I wanted, and I was that guy that could have met a girl in high school and treated her with respect and dignity. And
for some people that does work. I mean, I have family members who met in middle school, ended up like begging their parents to put them in the same high school, then went to the same college, and then got married, have kids, still married, happy as can be. So it does happen. But I'm just saying, in general, I am not the same person at 40 years old that I was at 30 years old. I am not. It doesn't mean that my taste has changed in the type of man that I want. That doesn't mean that. I just mean me as an individual. I'm not the same person. I have different goals for myself. Financially, I'm at different places in my career. I see different things happening in my path. So to think that you're going to marry somebody at 20 years old and by 40 still feel that same connection, I do think it's a big challenge. And I think that for most people, that is not going to happen. Because you have to really be ready to evolve with somebody. And when I say evolve, you have to love them for every step of their journey.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's hard to do.
No, it is. It's 100% hard to do. And I agree with wholeheartedly that, we evolve as human beings. We all do. We all evolve as human beings, and it takes time to figure out some things. As a young kid, my mom will tell you, my dad will tell you, he knew what he wanted. He knew as a junior in high school he wanted to be a sportscaster. He, the dreams that he has, the love of making people laugh, of music, of being in movies and superhero stuff, that's all the same, you know? So in a lot of ways, you know, I mean, Dan is Dan, and I love that about myself. And I'm not talking about myself in the third person. I'm just making a note. But like, I'm more than Pret, because I would never do that. It's so weird. But it's so weird. But yeah, no, I'm happy to say that I'm Dan Tortora is what I was trying to say when I said Dan is Dan. And like I said, I'm better to myself than I was. But as far as sweeping a girl off of her feet and letting her know that fairy tales just don't happen in Disney movies, I would have done that anytime. It's just finding a person that actually appreciates that. And so, do I enjoy dating? No. Do I enjoy having to go through this BS? No. And if a woman could, and Andrea, this is it. If a woman could just say, hey, how are you? Bump into me at a bookstore. Hey, I read that book. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I saw you. I mean, like, I have women that stop me, and I've had women of different ages, different ethnicities, backgrounds, whatever, different states, stop me and say, your eyes are gorgeous, or you have beautiful eyes. Like, I've had women do that. So it's not like I haven't gotten like a compliment or somebody stop and do something like that. But when you speak for a living, when you are a broadcaster, and this is what you do, it is so sexy to have a woman confident in herself, knowing what she wants, to say, that man crossed my path, and I'm not going to let him walk away without at least saying hello. And that, to me, would turn me on and turn me around, because men have to do most of the work in our society when it comes to like that breaking of the ice. And I would love for a woman to just say hello and give me some inkling that she's interested, instead of having to be this guy that talks to you for weeks, hours at a time, and at the end of it all still be like, well, where the hell is her head at? It's such a waste of time for me.
It is. It's a waste of time for everybody. It's a waste of time for her too.
Yeah.
If she's not ready to like show you a sign at this point, it's like she's probably not that interested. It's like, then stop wasting everybody's time. Everybody stop wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to be honest with you, like, it's like, I hate time wasters. I could be watching a show or something.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean?
I've literally said that exact statement. I say I dislike, but time waster. If you ask me right now, if you asked anybody in my family, anybody that is close to me, they would say, what does he not like more than anything? Time wasters is at the top of my list, and I mention it all the time.
It's the worst. My best friend, so she was at a bar, and her and her girlfriend had gone out, and they were leaving the bar, and it was a weird thing where that night the Uber was kind of circling the area. And they're like, what is taking so long? This Uber, it keeps circling the area, whatever. Yeah. So it was unusual that happened, that the Uber was taking so long. In walks these two guys. And she literally looked at her. She made eye contact with the guy. She looked at her friend and she said, cancel the Uber. We're going back in. So they went back in. They stood at the bar and she says, I'm telling you right now, I can feel it. He's going to come over and talk to me. Like, we are not leaving yet. We're going to stay or whatever. Flash forward a year and a half later, they have a baby, you know, and she's moved up to Connecticut, and now, you know, she's a stepmom and they have a baby, and all is good in the world. And it's like, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, she was extremely single 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She wasn't dating anybody at all. And now look at it. It's like, I do think those things happen where the woman sees somebody and they think there's just something, a feeling you get, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, like you want somebody just to not be able to let that guy pass them by. I do think that stuff happens.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know when, but I do think it happens.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, treat me like I matter. You know, I treat so many people like they matter.
Right.
Treat me like it. You don't have to fall all over me, be like, oh my God, you're the sexiest guy. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff. I'm not an ego guy. You can say something or do something. And I think in my dating life, I dated all these women where it was like, you know, I want you to come. I want you to call me. I want you to find me. I want you to chase me. I want you to tell me I'm pretty. Okay, well, you know what? Us guys, we appreciate you saying, hey, thank you for being smart, for being kind, for being compassionate, for being empathetic, for being understanding, for respecting me, you know, and I have heard that as I've gotten older, that like a woman will tell me, she's like, God, you're really respectful. And I'm like, yeah, like that's like a normal thing for me. But that initial thing where like you walk by somebody, what your friend did, I would love that. For her to be like, I don't know who that is, but we're going back in there because I got that vibe. I want a woman who's got a little bit of get up and go. You know, this timid, I don't know. No, like the indecisive stuff, don't do that. Because in business, if you're indecisive, we're not working together. If you're aloof, we're not working together. I am the same person in business and in friendships. I mean, folks, this is real deal. I'm the same person in business, friendships, family, romantic relationships. If you are that person that scuffles your feet, we're not doing it. Okay, if Andrea was like, I can, but I can't, but maybe we'll do a show and then take 3 months off, we wouldn't be doing this. I'm the person where.
Well, have we ever said this before? Like how this even happened? That, you know, Dan asked me if I wanted to do an interview on the show, and I was kind of like, huh? Like, okay. Like, you know, I didn't even know I had no idea what I was getting on here for. Yeah. And honestly, I didn't even contour my face, you guys. Like I just came on like not looking my best. Okay. And then right after we had such a good conversation, had never spoken. And then I said afterwards, I messaged him and said, listen, like, if you ever want to do this again, like, I would love to do this. Yeah. You know, this is really fun. And I mean, who knew that we were going to get into a situation where it became regular? Yeah. But, you know, I just was thinking to myself, like, this would be so fun to record again or whatever. And listen, I get it. I really, and again, I'll just say this to the listeners, to the viewers, like if there's someone out there or you know someone out there and you're listening to this or listening to us talk or you watch any of our podcasts, like if you know somebody that would be that kind of girl, Dan tags me on Instagram. So please DM me and let's talk about it, because now I feel like my goal in life or that this whole thing is to help you find somebody.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And I appreciate that. And the thing is like, and I say this all the time. I'm like, I love who I am. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not desperate. I don't have leprosy. If I wanted to stay, would you, you know, to me, it's like,
I said, you should love who you are.
And it's I do. Yeah. And my thing is like, I'm totally fine with coming home, getting in bed, and Lily and I watching TV. Love that girl. And there's nothing better in a lot of ways. So, you know, to me, I've come to terms at 37 that what I've wanted my whole life, if it never happened, I'm cool with that. Would I like it to happen? Of course I would. But the interactions that I've had with people have been incredible. I mean, you and I have had chemistry from day zero, and people that watch our show and listen to our show, that's all I hear from people is, God, you guys are really good together. You just have the like best chemistry. You work off each other, and they're like, I would listen to you if I didn't know you. And so very sweet, and thank you all for that support. So it's like the connection I have with you as a co-host, the connection I have with, you know, people that consider me a brother, I'm Uncle Dan, you know, I'm so honored to have the life that I have. Would I like a woman to say, hey, how are you? That would be great, you know? And if it happens, that'd be wonderful. But, you know, Andrea, all I can say in this world, and we've joked about a lot of things and been serious about stuff, to everybody that's looking for love, to everybody that's struggling with this, I want you to know, first and foremost, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm going to tell you what I believe. God made you, not on accident. You are made purely in his image and likeness. You are beautiful. Whatever you look like, whatever you have, you are beautiful the way you are. You were made with God's paintbrush. You are not a mistake. On top of that, love yourself, because you can love yourself more than anybody ever will, because you know yourself better than anybody ever will. So love you, be good to you, celebrate you. Don't wait for tomorrow. And when that person comes along,
don't wait for somebody else to celebrate you.
Right.
Either.
And buy yourself flowers. And when somebody eventually comes your way, make sure that they deserve you. Make sure that they appreciate you. And when they don't, never be afraid of going back to it just being you. Because sometimes, as I've said this before, eating dinner by yourself means eating with really good company.
True.
So with that being said, Andrea, you get the final word. Anything you want to add?
I just was going to tell you that I'm wearing a Taylor Swift t-shirt today. Big reputation.
I was wondering, I was looking at the shirt because I couldn't see it for most of the show. See, mine says "Go catch your dream," so I guess mine is fitting with today's conversation. But yours says "Big."
Well, her tour starts in just a few days. Her Eras tour. I did not get tickets, in case anybody's wondering. They were at minimum $500 a piece, and my friend called me. She's like, "Come on, we got to do it. We got to take." Like, they're like my nieces, my friend's daughters.
Yeah.
And she said, "We got to do it." And you know what? As much as I love Taylor Swift, I've seen her 3 times.
Yeah.
And I'm normally a buyer. Like, I'm the person that you call when you need somebody to go with you somewhere, but you got to buy a ticket. I'm the person that will say, "Okay, I'll do it." Like, you need a road dog. I'll do it. Even if I don't really want to. But for some reason, thank God, I thought about it. And I was like, I just cannot spend over $500 on this ticket. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But I do love her. As you guys know, I do love her very much. So I just decided to wear my Big Reputation shirt today.
And I love it. And so, just so you all know, I know you said you had the final word, but you're going to appreciate my addition to your final word, is that I'm going to share with the world what I shared with Andrea while I was driving in my red Mustang, was that I was listening to... What was I listening to?
Anti-Hero or Lavender Haze?
I was listening to Anti-Hero, and I was like, gosh, I just really like this song. I just, you know what I mean?
Catchy.
I still believe this, and I throw it out there. Taylor Swift's been through a lot. I've been through a lot. I think if we dated, we could make some pretty cool history there. I think that'd be cool, Taylor. I'm just throwing it out there, Taylor, because I feel like you get it. I get it. You make some good songs about it. I make some good shows and comedy about it. It could be interesting. And then Andrea would have lifetime tickets for free. So that's good.
Oh my God. It was like, it would be a dream. Let me say that on this. Have you watched her documentary? I think it was on Netflix during the pandemic, Miss Americana.
No, I have not.
Please watch it, because I will tell you what you just said about, I like this song, it's catchy, whatever. You will like her even more after watching this, to see the emotion and some of the things that she's gone through and things like that. You'll like her more, I promise.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to that. And I'm going to need your Apple password. You know why.
Oh, yeah, for Ted Lasso. You guys aren't watching Ted Lasso. It's a great show, and season 3 is about to come out, but it's on Apple. So if you don't have Apple, you need to phone a friend and get their passcode, because it's a great feel-good show. I am not hired by Ted Lasso for this plug. However, I'm accepting paychecks if they need my plugging. I'll continue.
And I'm accepting your Apple password if you'll give it to me. Because...
I don't even know what it is. I haven't even logged in in so long. It's been logged in for me.
All right. Well, let's figure that out. We need to figure that out. So that being said, 2 mics, no filter. Andrea Smith, myself, Dan Tortora. You can follow us every single month, and you can find us on our social media outlets. And of course, this library of shows, we got a bunch of shows like this one that are going to be aired in full on YouTube this week. So make sure you check all those out, and you can go back and listen to our timeless conversations about literally anything and everything. Andrea, thank you.
Typically Dan's dating life.
Well, what else are we going to talk about when we want to laugh, think, and cry at the same time, I guess?
Good point.
Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate it.
Bye.
See you. That coming from Andrea Smith one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, having the opportunity to bring you 2 mics, no filter, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, your show within a show. And we're going to take a step aside for our final fast break of today's broadcast and wrap things up right after this.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Cuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, broadcasting on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com /LiveNowDT, where the feed is shared. And, of course, you can catch us now on Podbean, wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Decided to go worldwide there. That's where we started with the internet broadcast. That's where we officially literally started doing internet radio shows, and we were pre-recording them, putting them on there, and for the first time ever we're now live on there after being on Podbean for how many years now? Let's look back on this, 2012 to 2020. Wow, 11 years that we've been on Podbean, and for the first time ever broadcasting live, and we started that last week when we were on the road in Greensboro. So thanks for joining us on there. Of course, you can find us by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of those, or Wake Up Call DT as one word, and save us, follow us, do all that great stuff. We appreciate your support. And speaking of support, we want to thank all of our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, Avicoli's, PB&J's Lunchbox, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, where we have the Cuse McMother sandwich, which has been doing incredible thanks to all of you, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Pizza Man and 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant. Head to 317 at Montgomery Street for what I consider 5-star Michelin experience and food downtown Syracuse. Gotta check it out. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Leone College Dolphins. It spins up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with these Dolphins. And AD and DT coming to you every first and third Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Every second and fourth Wednesday, you're getting the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can get all of our features with Lemoyne by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, including the exclusive series on realignment and reclassification as Lemoyne looks at going D1 or staying Division II. And those exclusives are only to Wake Up Call. If someone else told you they were their stories, I appreciate them for watching our video, but I don't appreciate them for using it as their information. You can also go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and you can follow us there, subscribe, and get all our Lemoyne content. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. The Bobcats are here with us in the Bobcat Buzz every single month on Wake Up Call in our exclusive partnership, giving you stories with student athletes, administration, and coaches like you've never had before. The Bobcat Buzz coming to you every month, and our library is with us on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, available worldwide, as well as by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and searching Bobcat Buzz. For more information on Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and shout out to Clay Gagan Sherman and the men's basketball team that are vying for their chance to move on in the national tournament toward a national championship today, which I'm so excited about. We'll have more from that. So with that being said, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you to Matt Langel. On the heels of heading back to the NCAA Tournament for the 4th time in 5 years, I want to give a big shout out to Colgate and Matt Langel. Thank you for being a part of the show and allowing me to tell your story. No better coach to have on this morning once we found out the bracket last night. Big thanks to Jason Leone, one of my closest and nearest and dearest friends, and making history, going to the Elite Eight for the first time ever for Oswego State men's basketball. Cannot thank Jason, his staff, and his student athletes enough, past, present, and future. God bless to the team, getting farther than they've ever been, and did it by taking down the number 1 ranked team in the nation, who is the defending national champion. And they did it on that team's home court. So big shout out to Jason Leone. Much love to you, brother. Thank you for all you do as a coach, more you do as a friend. Big shout out to Tony Bruin sharing his story about Jim Boeheim and about Syracuse as a whole. Loved having Tony on here and can't wait to have him back. And a big thanks to Andrea for 2 Mics No Filter, where we literally talk about anything and everything, and we always have a good time. And I said we talk about anything and everything, and Andrea added, and most of the time Dan's dating life. Very true. So with that being said, find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. If you haven't been on all these channels, there is a ton of new stuff that I've added. Ton of videos, interviews, all these things. The sounds of the ACC tournament, I haven't even added those yet. So I'm so excited to bring those to you. Check everything out, and thank you for your support of Wake Up Call. In the meantime, God bless. No stress. Do your best. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for being with me. Go check out my breakdown of the entire NCAA tournament bracket, 68 teams, and then join our bracket challenge. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Thank you for supporting me in doing what I love. And I give you that love and support right back. I'll talk with you soon. God bless. No stress. Do your best.